You say you stand by everything. You still stand by. Do you still stand by Israel targeting hospitals? You said Israel targeting hospitals, but you fueled the anti-Semitism. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. What you've done to Jews in Australia, you didn't leave us alone. You made Israel. You demonized Israel. You said that they were targeting hospitals, which is illegal under international law. You fueled the anti-Semitism in Australia. Do you want to apologise? Do you not think that the ABC should be defunded? You stand by reporting that Israel broke international law by targeting Hamas terrorists. You admitted they're terrorists.
Please leave me alone. I have said what I've said to you. Please leave me alone.
You should hold your head in shame, mate.
Please leave me
your
alone.
head in shame.
Please leave me alone.
You are the reason. You seem to have done a lot of stuff for women, is that right?
Sure, and gender equality was one of my central issues at the last campaign.
What is a woman, though? Can you define it?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Do you condemn rape under any circumstances?
Yes.
So will you condemn Hamas?
It's a tragedy what happened.
Should it be condemned?
I'm not going to answer that.
Why not?
Because I feel like regrettable is good. I don't support either of them.
You're not interested in voting Hamas? Hamas bombs, are the rockets environmentally friendly? Look at that, he's getting a proper photo. It's almost like we had a government plant here, part of the Mossad ready to feel. Indoctrinate. No, he's already indoctrinated, but to capture the moment properly.
And this is the material we need to control them for the rest of the time.
This is the photo that they're going to use every single time now. Oh
You're
my
a
God.
Zionist.
You, a Zionist?
We all know you are.
You don't even know how to say them. I know you don't read. We already worked that up.
You're good, aren't you?
I am.
Can't read.
You got to get off the crack, bro.
Oh, not the crap.
Do you support the Australian Army?
Yes, I do.
Are you proud of the Battle of Beersheba?
Sorry?
I didn't think you know. Go read a book, brother. Come, let's talk. Let's have a chat. I like people who don't like me. Where are you, brother? Which one? Hey, bro. Let's talk about it. You want to talk about my...
I don't want to.
Oh, why? What are you afraid of?
I don't want to talk to you.
You don't want to talk to me? You want to shout at me?
I don't like it. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, so what's your problem with me?
I think you're a Zionist, so I don't.
I am a Zionist.
Yeah,
do you know what a Zionist is?
I think I do, but can you tell me what?
No, but you're saying you don't like me because I'm a Zionist, but you don't know what a Zionist is.
Well, I think I know what it is, but what do you think?
So tell me, I know what it is because I am one. So you're calling me one with a negative
I
connotation.
want to talk to a Zionist.
What's a Zionist?
I don't like
What's a Zionist?
Don't know.
You're a capo. You're the ones that the Nazis used to perpetrate crimes against Jews. You're the ones that racist uses. Don't touch me.
Get back! Get off the mic! Get off the mic!
Both of you don't go anywhere. Move away. Both of you don't go anywhere.
Now that I'm a Zionist and you don't like me because I'm whatever, what is it? Is it what's a shill?
You.
What is it? What does it mean?
You're a shill.
What does it mean?
No, I'm done now. I'm done.
You're literally the dumbest person in this crowd.
The Lord is my
We
shepherd,
come from this side.
I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. He restores my soul and leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
There's a drone.
תנסו להוריד אותו, יש למישהו נשק, תירה בו! תירה בו!
I got it.
למה אתה לא יורה?
למה? Got no visual.
זה מה, להתאבד, הוא יורד עכשיו מי עומד? זה מישהו אחר מאנטארקטיקה.
So join with me in this video. Please sing this with me, okay? Avi Yemini, Avi Yemini.
join in that chant?
Yes.
You did join?
I certainly did.
Did you
Yes.
enjoy it?
Yes, it was great. Tommy's a brilliant guy.
Avi is awake!
Get Avi.
Do you reckon it's going to catch? There's a lot of people that would love to join in on that chant.
I don't know. I'm just a stupid Aussie.
The good thing is you're taller than Tommy Robinson.
I don't know.
He's a midget. That's why he's angry. That's why he's jealous about it.
Yeah, right. So maybe we should say he's a wanker.
Tommy Robinson's a wanker. Tommy Robinson's a wanker. Why you kicked someone out when you found out they were Israeli? Why did you
They
do?
were a baby killer. Now fuck off. Fuck off. Excuse me.
Do you always ask people with ethnic accents where they come from?
You don't. Leave me a review.
Do you always ask people with ethnic backgrounds?
My business.
Do you always ask people
Get
with
out
ethnic
of my
backgrounds?
business. You're trespassing.
I need my
You're
deposit back. I need my
trespassing.
deposit back.
Right, you'll do it through the...
No, I would like my deposit back. I'll leave with my deposit back. You kicked
Ouch.
somebody out. Do you know that's against the law to kick
It's
somebody?
not, actually.
The
It's
Racial
not
Discrimination Act. You
No.
can't, based on nationality.
Israelis aren't a race.
Nationality.
Yeah, but the police are here watching over everything that's happening as well. Come up the street a little bit here and you can see there's two groups gathered here. You've got the Free Palestinian side, the pro-Palestinian side. On the other side, you've got a small group of Israelis there. They're from the community. This is most likely their neighborhood.
We don't go to anyone else's area to cause a fight. We need to be here to stand for our people, because if not, we don't stand here. The police aren't protecting. They're praying, they're saying in Arabic, calling for the death of Jews, the death of Yahuds, the death of all of these people, and the police just stand here and don't shut us down.
So you're siding with Jews against your own people?
You're not his people.
Aren't you a white Australian?
Jesus is his people. Jesus was a Jew. Out.
Let's go, mate. Let's go, please.
Let's go. Don't put your hands on.
Yeah, well then just go.
Don't put your hands on.
Leave our event.
Islam has no place in this country, and neither do the Jews.
Why?
Hebrews 8. Have you read Hebrews 8?
Hands off me, I will leave. You're going to be breaching the police.
Candace Owens says the court called her a man, but you haven't fact-checked Candace Owens. Why?
I mean, to be honest, I have watched the documentary of her breaking down. Like,
Stop pivoting.
Yeah.
On the thing that she said in court,
Yeah,
I heard
no,
that.
fair enough.
She told you. She told you the court classified her.
Yeah.
Bridget
Yeah.
Macron a man.
Yeah.
They didn't. So why do you keep listening to someone who every single episode lies to you?
I genuinely believe that she is the biggest truth teller ever.
Do you ever fact check her?
I like to think that I watch enough media.
No.
to be
Do
able
you
to
ever fact check her when she tells you, go and check my source? Do you ever do that?
I mean, I think that she provides.
Do you ever go and look at her sources that she says to you to check?
I like to believe, and to be fair, to be fair, this is like a very fair argument. To be fair, like you have, to be fair, like you have got me to an extent. I'm not ashamed to admit that.
OC spray has been deployed. So someone just lunged at this community here.
You've justified October 7th. So I want to know. You're saying that there's a genocide happened here. So would you justify? Do you think Australians have asked for it as well? You said Israel. Look at history.
No, the British have. Yeah, absolutely.
Australians, you're white Australian. Did you ask for it?
You don't know my ethnic background.
Sure. Do you think white Australians ask for it if they get attacked by Aboriginal terrorists? Yes or no? Looking at history, using your own logic.
Tell me what the attack looks like.
You need to know what the rape, the beheading, the kidnap. You want to.
Anyway, I've had enough. Please leave me alone.
Mate, you've come here to an event condemning anti-Semitism. Why would you do that?
Mate, are you telling to leave me alone? Like, I'm happy to just stay here, but can you get this guy to leave?
What a point of the intro to transition. Welcome to the Opposition Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Rook, how you going, mate?
I'm doing good, mate. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Hope you're all doing well.
I know people are surprised that now we're back. This is the second episode in a week. This is huge.
It's good to be back, actually. And I believe we're also on Instagram today, at least your Instagram, which is working. So if you're watching from Instagram, guys, I think, it's convenient to watch on Instagram, but I think the best platform still to watch this is on YouTube, right?
100%. 100%. So some housekeeping rules, guys. Essentially, you can get involved in the comments. Comments you're seeing, actually, no, you've got different comments on different platforms. So the comments you're seeing on the widescreen ones is via any of the platforms. I'm pretty much just going through that except for Rumble. Get involved in the conversation. It'll show up on screen automatically. And super chats on YouTube. So if you send us a super chat, thank you in advance. We will read and answer every super chat. You can kind of redirect the conversation, get us to talk about something else, or just have your say, or just support. Your support helps us do what we do. So much appreciated. And obviously we're starting the first night on Instagram. It should have been going to 2 pages, but it wasn't. It's just working on one. We'll see if that works next time on its own layout. You can get involved there. I don't think you can share that one. It's just watching on
live. Happens.
And my wife is messaging me, you have glasses on. Yes, I was waiting for the first person to be a smart ass and mention that, but it ended up being my wife. I'm actually blind. That's the thing. So it's actually.
I'm thinking about getting glasses to put on when I do my shows, just to make myself look even smarter than I already am.
I know
that's why you're wearing them.
I avoid wearing it on camera because I think I've got a insecurity about it. Because I remember always looking at it's like the magnifying glasses that makes me, and I'm a little bit cross-eyed. And I just remember as a kid always looking at my grandfather's photo on the wall, and he had the same kind of glasses that magnifies his cross-eyed, and I never wanted to be that. But I feel like since I'm working the screens and I'm not just talking to camera, I don't know.
So what you're saying is you want to look like tech support. You're going.
I want to look like. You know what? I want to look like tech support. I want to look like I'm smart because I've got to go up against Rukshan here. But in all seriousness, I think today is a very sad day for Australia. I think that the news coming through, and we'll start with, I think, the Channel 9 full report, just because this has been their story and the Sydney Morning Herald story. Nick McKenzie is the one that's really been pushing this for a very long time. And from the timeline, based on the press conference today, it would seem that it was really the media's fishing expedition that brought us to where we are now. Obviously, it's before the courts now. We'll have to follow and see what the evidence they have is, because, going through civil cases has a much lower threshold than criminal. He's been charged now with 5 counts of essentially murder, war crime murder, which, as a veteran, I feel for everybody that's serving in the ADF. This is one of the things that I'm super passionate about. I've talked about in the past, where we send our brave men and women into the firing line, and those that have the courage to actually take us up on it and do it and defend us, whether you agree with the war or not. They're not the ones that put themselves in whatever deployment. They go through things that the Nick McKenzies of this world will never know, never understand, never live, never experience. And then the years later, what are we talking about now? 15 years later, they get to sit...
17 years.
17 years later, so almost 2 decades later, they get to sit behind their computer and judge and rally every leftist, every... I'm seeing even Groypers. It's weird because a lot of the Israel haters are also getting in on hating on this, our most decorated soldier. What was your first reaction? And then let's go into just watching the Channel 9 report to begin with.
It was unexpected, obviously. It's major news. It came out of absolutely nowhere. It's been off our radars, right, for a while now, since the end of the defamation trials, at least.
Yep.
And for me personally, it just feels like a bit of a witch hunt. Again, because of the passage of time, the length of time that's taken, this is something you'd think would be adjudicated on just based on the circumstances that we're hearing about at the time it happened. That's what you'd kind of expect. And we've seen some commentary around it as well that we can maybe look up later. I think Tony Abbott had a good point to make on his X as well with the post that he made. So it does feel like a witch hunt. There is a lot of vindictiveness I'm seeing from people who feel like they've kind of, it's like a gotcha moment, and it proves something about not just Ben Robert Smith, but also Australia and our complicity. There's this, if you look at the Greens, how they're commenting and how they're responding to this, and some other commentators as well, they're like loving life almost. It's like a vindication for them of how bad Australia is. So there's multiple layers to this story. Obviously, it's going to be before the courts, and you think that something of this nature, because it's international news, Avi. Like I'm seeing every news publication around the world talking about this story. So it has many ramifications for the image of Australia as well. How we obviously view ourselves as a nation when it comes to these type of issues, and we've been involved in many conflicts in the Middle East as well, and even now we're discussing around this particular issue, right? As well as for, I think, just the morale of the country. I am seeing a lot of people who are upset today and ashamed as well that the ADF and soldiers are being treated in this manner, and the fact that we send off people to war to defend us, and this is the treatment at the end of all of that. Again, I think most of this is because of the passage of time and the things that have happened leading up to this, which makes it this kind of complicated discussion, this debate that we have. Like we are actually debating this in our community. That's what it's turned into. So it's a bit of a farce, bit of a witch hunt. Yeah. And I know people have different opinions on it. And I'm happy for the legal process to play out, but I just feel like now, as it's going ahead, it has become very politicized.
Absolutely.
This is very politicized. The media is heavily in on this, and there's various agendas around the outcome of this. And there's people heavily invested in this outcome. So can we see justice being done in this particular scenario? I don't know, because it does feel very politicized and does feel like there is an aim to this. And the last thing I'm going to say is there's a massive cost that the government has borne to get to this point as well. So I heard today a figure of about $300 million. So, for me personally, if I'm being cynical, I don't expect the government to spend $300 million and walk away from that without even trying to find some type of case against this individual. Yep. So that's kind of how I view all of this. But yeah, let's have a look at
I think it's completely a political case that was drummed up by Mackenzie and the media. It was like Sydney Morning Herald, The Age, and Nine at the time. And I think that they want to show something for it. And this is the scapegoat. Look, not many people support those wars anymore, but they're looking for a scapegoat. And I can tell you now, I don't think that there'll be many. And I see a lot of people are not going to want to volunteer to join the Defence Forces here in Australia when you get back 20 years later, you got to continue looking over your shoulders because you may be taken down over, unless they have the smoking gun, actual real evidence that no one could find. I was following those trials closely. There was no real evidence in any of that as somebody that has served on the front line and has been in combat, there is nothing in there that proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Ben Robert Smith was a murderer. It is a big claim.
People have to understand that it's also very different to like a murder happening like, in civilian life here in Australia or something like this. I'm not saying it's all alleged, but it's very different. We're talking about an active war zone.
Yep.
And we're talking about people who have rules of engagement, of course. There's procedures and there's rules that people follow as well. And, some of the comments that we've seen regarding this is that, fellow ADF members have also testified against him at different points during the defamation trial. And they're talking about the culture and all of these things. But we have to understand that all of this has to be distilled down to, regardless of any of those things that happen, culture, the toxicity, whatever you want to talk about, at the end of the day, this has to be judged on the basis of what happened and the allegations of the that have been made against him at that particular point, not all these other external points. And I think at least based on what we're being told happened and what the evidence is, the standard of evidence I don't think is there for what we kind of, what we can clearly as Australians can look at and be like, that evidence, that's legit.
If it is the same evidence that they provided within the civil case, the defamation case, where
I'm basing on that,
which is what people are saying to me in the comments, people that are defending the charges, and these are also people on the right that are defending the charges, saying that you're not listening to other ADF soldiers that testified. They testified in the other case. I don't think it was that compelling because, again, I think you've also got to remember these are humans. There is also a thing called tall poppy syndrome. There are people that would be vindictive and angry. I don't know each and every one of their cases. All I'm saying is based on what I heard in the previous case, it just, and you apply human nature to the circumstances of the fact that, Ben Roberts-Smith wasn't just a nobody. He was a big deal in the ADF. He is our most decorated war hero. And there are some, and maybe he wasn't such a nice guy at certain points to certain people. And you've given people an opportunity, even within his own company or whatever, like whatever it is, to have a swipe at him, have a go at him, knowing that these allegations were circulating. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think.
The thing is, Avi, just based on human nature, when you do have a media interest story, you have the media going after. They're not just going after Ben Roberts.
And remember, we saw,
and
we saw at the time, because it came out later, that the media was pushing it so hard using, unethical tactics, and it was caught on tape.
Yeah.
And they tried. That was after the trial had ended, and they tried to reintroduce that evidence to show that there was a smear campaign being led by the media, where they were acting unethically themselves and saying it, just not knowing they were being recorded. Anyways, let's get straight into this first report by Channel 9. I haven't watched it, but I can just imagine what we're looking at.
Good evening. He led some of Australia's most dangerous defence missions. But tonight, former SAS soldier Ben Roberts-Smith is behind bars. After a high-level investigation, the Victoria Cross recipient has been charged with 5 counts of war crime murder, accused of killing innocent civilians during the Afghanistan conflict. Damien Ryan begins what has been an extraordinary day in our military history.
Australia's most decorated living soldier, Ben Roberts-Smith, always an imposing figure, and today towering over police as they let him off a plane from Brisbane. He was under arrest, accused of war crime murder. The AFP made their move knowing he was flying into Sydney on what was meant to be a family holiday. Passengers on board unaware they were witnessing a national hero being escorted onto the tarmac by officers.
Our plane stopped, and then we looked outside and there was 2 AFP cars, and then after that we saw a man get taken into one of the cars and his family followed behind.
In the group, a woman believed to be Roberts-Smith's longtime girlfriend, Sarah Matchelin.
Quite shocked. Yep, it is a bit of a shock to see the commotion.
The Victoria Cross recipient was driven away to Mascot Police Station as the Federal Police Commissioner called a snap news conference and dropped the bombshell.
Good afternoon. A former Australian Defence Force member has today been arrested and will be charged with 5 counts of war crime murder after a joint investigation between the Office of the Special Investigator and the AFP.
The alleged crimes were committed in war-torn Afghanistan, but the victims were not the enemy, but innocent, unarmed civilians.
It will be alleged the victims were shot by the accused or shot by subordinate members of the ADF in the presence of and acting on the orders of the accused.
In 2009, it's alleged Roberts-Smith machine-gunned an Afghan detainee with a prosthetic leg and ordered a rookie soldier to execute a second man. In 2012, it's alleged he kicked an Afghan civilian off a cliff and ordered a member of his team to shoot him dead. In another incident in the same year, Roberts-Smith allegedly oversaw the execution of 2 more Afghans. Before today, Ben Roberts-Smith has denied any wrongdoing. Today, our political leaders steered clear of what will now be a legal battle.
I have no intention of commenting on a matter that's clearly before the courts.
The vast majority of our special forces do the right thing. They are incredible people serving this nation and playing an extremely difficult role.
But One Nation's Pauline Hanson was steadfast in her support. I will not abandon him like so many other politicians.
I just have to stop for 1 second to say, because I haven't watched this report, and I saw the Liberals' weak, safe response to this news, and the contrast to how Pauline Hanson reacted to the news with leadership and bravery, not just following the mob, is exactly why she's polling so well. It's exactly why Australians are following her, because she's not guided by the media or what is safe. She's guided by her moral compass every time.
Yeah, she's saying what she honestly believes and thinks, and she's willing to stick by it. And again, like you said, she's not doing a PR exercise when it comes to it. I mean, there's no reason why Albanese or even the opposition leader Angus Taylor couldn't have had more of a comment on this particular thing, but they're going to hide behind it before the courts, But this is.
Do you know what? If you want,
it's being judged,
if you wanted to be brave about it, but not as brave as Pauline, you could have said, in Australia, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. For now, he is still a national war hero, 100%. Our top hero.
His hometown Perth, the RSL questioning the timing of his arrest.
We're 3 weeks out from Anzac Day, the point in time where the nation stops and reflects of the hundreds and thousands of men and women that have served this nation, so why now?
At his family home, his parents maintaining their silence. Today's development followed a 5-year...
Scum, just scum. What journalist, which scumbag went and knocked on the door of a national war hero, his parents? Think about all the years that he was deployed for our country on the front lines. They had sleepless nights every time, and this little piece of shit is knocking on the parents' house. Those same parents that put through everything. There is not enough hate in my heart for these people.
It is a media spectacle. Obviously, like the footage that you've paused on there, Avi. The media's obviously been tipped off. They're working hand in glove with the authorities. They're there to film the spectacle, and it is really, at the end of the day, the humiliation of an Australian war hero, a decorated war hero, and it's a very public humiliation. Like, this is intentional. This is not done in a manner which is to kind of try to respect anything that's happened. Including Robert Smith's service. This is a public humiliation for the ultimate impact of, this is a state saying that they have already judged him as guilty.
And let me be clear. Anyone that's been in trouble with the police know that the police can contact you and ask you to come in for an interview, or if you're being arrested, they come to your house. They've gone and they've waited for him to be travelling interstate and pulled him off the plane, walked him down the tarmac with his girlfriend, as everyone watched, and as they deployed cameras there for either the police did it for the media, or they tipped the media off and filmed it and let them film it. Channel 9. It says Channel 9 exclusive on the top left-hand side. So I'd say that they've tipped Channel 9 off, who were the ones that originally went on this witch hunt. And they're the ones that gave everything to the police. And the reason why, at this point, Channel 9 more than anyone wants him to be proven guilty, even if he isn't, is so that it
vindicates
their story. And the fact that so many people are angry with Nick McKenzie and Channel 9 for pursuing this so hard.
And the other thing with the whole airport arrest, the way that was done, and this was also evident during the press conference when the AFP commissioner was speaking, was that the innuendo, or the what people might speculate, is he was trying to flee the country. He was trying to leave the country.
Interstate.
He's trying to get on a plane and get. I mean, that's the kind of way that people portray it, because he's. I heard. Yeah. You heard that, right? But he's coming back from a domestic holiday with his children, and he's been taken off the plane. And this is the end for an Australian war. Like, this is the way that we portray the way that we'll treat people that go to war and fight for this country is to be humiliated and taken off an aeroplane.
I will give credit to
after
I'll give credit
20
to the
years
one
almost.
cop that I saw walk him in the other shot, and you can see that they didn't put cuffs on him. And just looking at the because it would be federal police, and a lot of the federal cops, frontline cops, a lot of them are ex-military, and I'll put my bets on it that whoever pulled him off the plane, just following those orders, were ex-military, and they're like, "There's no way I'm putting cuffs on him as we walk out this tarmac." But that would have been, I guess, we've got one thing we can say, give credit to whoever was there and made that decision, but the whole thing is horrendous. It's horrendous.
Investigation, not just by police. Nine investigative reporter Nick McKenzie has been on the case from the beginning.
We know.
Talking to some of Ben Robert-Smith's comrades who will now be witnesses.
This is not about the fog of war. This is not about the heat of battle. And those making the allegations are soldiers who served alongside Ben Robert-Smith.
The allegations suggest he might not have been alone, and the special investigator who was key to today's arrest says he's not yet finished in his mission to bring to account any Australian soldier who may have allegedly committed a war crime.
Wherever the evidence leads, that's where we'll go.
Late this afternoon, Ben Robert-Smith.
That's the shot I'm talking about. I reckon that guy on the right, I bet he's ex-military.
Was charged and will spend the night in custody. For a man who spent his life serving his country, could now spend the rest of his life behind bars. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
All right, let's go live to James Wilson, who's at Mascot Police Station tonight, where Ben Robert-Smith has spent the day. James, you have breaking news. He's just arrived at Silverwater Jail.
That's right, Peter. Long night in custody awaits Ben Robert-Smith, right now arriving at Silverwater Correctional Centre in a correctional services van where he'll be processed and spend the night behind bars. It was only moments before that here at Mascot Police Station that he was placed into that correctional services van. A fleeting shot from the back of this vehicle shows the decorated war hero in handcuffs, his hands in his...
I have not watched this, and you see how much the media wanted that shot. You saw how he put and they're gloating about it now. They want him in handcuffs. They want to show the world. They want to portray him as, well, they've done it. They went to court and fought for the right to be able to, as a murderer, as a mass murderer. They are absolute freaking scum. It is disgusting.
Laps, still wearing the shirt that he was arrested at Sydney Airport earlier this morning. So from here, he's due to face court tomorrow morning. No doubt everybody expecting that he'll be applying for bail, but whether he does or does not get his freedom then, in the next few years, Pete, a long legal battle awaits Ben Robert-Smith.
All right, James, thank you. Joining me at the desk is Mark Burrows. Mark, you covered the Afghan conflict. Robert-Smith was such a revered figure, earning a number of medals, including a Victoria Cross. It's an almighty fall from grace.
Peter, it's monumental. The Australian SES enjoys a reputation as one of the most effective Special Forces units in the world, with its motto, "Who dares wins." In Afghanistan, the SES were based at the multinational base at Tarin Kot, in the south of the country. They were a tight-knit unit that operated independently from the regular army. But as the allegations of war crimes surfaced, it was Robert-Smith's own comrades that broke ranks and spoke out against him. The former poster boy for our war in Afghanistan, who attended the Queen's funeral, now has little support within the SAS. To those new SAS recruits, it's a sobering message. You can be the most famous soldier in the world, but it doesn't matter. If it's believed you have acted improperly, there will be consequences. And tonight...
No, I can correct that monologue there. If Channel 9 says you're... and then pays $700,000 in hush money to the ex-wife to keep quiet. There was so much dodgy shit around this case. It's just... My heart breaks for the family and for him as well. Like, you just think... Imagine you spent that many years, defending your country, fighting for your country, and this is the thanks you get.
No, I agree with you. I think, if they obviously they go back to the fact that his own fellow members turned him in. Like, that's how they label it. But it's hard to know exactly the circumstances of what that is, because if we're to judge based on that, why didn't they do it, at the time, right, when these things were happening? At the time when these things are happening, like that is kind of the first question that I have, because what is the standard that we're going to give to the evidence that these people are providing once a media company starts investigating, and then they all start turning on their comrade?
And a media that has a suspicious behaviour pattern that's been caught out in this specific case, showing how desperate they were to get him. And it's true, if he really did commit mass murder against innocent civilians in the way that they're saying he did, what kind of justice is it to wait 20 years? This is a tragedy no matter which way you look at it. And based on watching this closely all those years and the media campaign, I just don't think, and it doesn't sound like they have any major compelling evidence now that's new. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we get to trial. And
based on the comments that the OIC made, I guess we can play that footage as well, Avi. He was talking about the lack of evidence that we're normally accustomed to.
We'll watch a press conference.
Everything Ben Roberts-Smith stood for is on the line.
Ben Roberts-Smith joined the army at the age of 18, but it was a decade later, on the treacherous battlefields of Afghanistan, that his fearsome reputation was truly forged. The corporal served 6 deployments to Afghanistan as a member of the elite SAS, becoming Australia's most decorated serviceman from the prolonged conflict. In 2011, then Governor-General Quentin Bryce bestowed Australia's highest military honour on the fated war hero.
To be presented the Victoria Cross for Australia, Corporal Benjamin Roberts-Smith.
You bring our hearts to soar.
From here, the soldier became a sought-after celebrity, a motivator and mentor. He rubbed shoulders not just with Australia's political elite, but was also at the beck and call of royalty.
Something that I'll obviously remember for a long time.
In 2013, he was named Australia's Father of the Year, before pivoting to a new career in television.
There was a fine art to being a bomb thrower, and this is where Leonard Keysor came into his own. Using his cricketing skills, he'd hurl the bombs back that the enemy sent in.
With the backing of Channel 7's then...
And it's funny because I saw how they made sure to show the logo on there. It was this, you got to remember, was also in the context of a proxy war between Channel 7 and Channel 9, and he was kind of the I don't know, crossfire or the fodder. It's just so gross on so many levels.
Chairman, noted military buff Kerry Stokes, Roberts-Smith tried his hand as a TV presenter before becoming an executive at the network. But it was in 2017 when his polished image suffered the first chink in its armour, with evidence published in Nine's newspapers, The Age and Sydney Morning Herald, suggesting Roberts-Smith might not be the hero Australia believed. Investigative reporter Nick McKenzie went on to file a number of award-winning stories for 60 Minutes, where other members of the SAS gave damning testimony about what they witnessed their brother-in-arms do in Afghanistan.
You don't win insurgencies on body counts. Yet, here's a guy who thinks he's going to win the war in Afghanistan by killing as many people as he can.
Amidst the barrage of damaging reports, Ben Roberts-Smith did what he was renowned for and fought back.
Their story is simply false. Their evidence is completely baseless.
There were public denials and, privately, a witch hunt to uncover who had spoken out against him. Secret recordings capturing his panicked phone calls.
I'm 100%, I'd stick to the code, mate, 100%, and I have. So all the that's going on, I'm still probably the only that hasn't spoken.
But the hits kept coming, including revelations Ben Roberts-Smith buried one of his children's pink lunchboxes in a backyard containing a USB stick allegedly packed with incriminating material and evidence of trophy killings. And after that, Afghan witnesses to his alleged war crime murders came forward to corroborate what Australian soldiers had already said about the day the 2-metre-tall commando allegedly kicked an innocent civilian, Ali Jan, off a cliff with his hands bound.
He was standing there when the soldier kicked him with the tip of his boot like this. His hands were tied up.
And specifically, which soldier was that?
The big one.
By this time, Ben Roberts-Smith had declared war on Nine and journalists Nick McKenzie and Chris Masters, suing them for defamation. But his attempts at returning fire only saw the soldier shoot himself in the foot.
In light of my conclusions, each proceeding must be dismissed.
A federal court judge threw out the case, ruling that on the balance of probabilities, it had actually been proved that Ben Roberts-Smith was a war criminal who murdered unarmed Afghan civilians. Justice Anthony Basanko said Roberts-Smith, himself the son of a Supreme Court justice, had disgraced his country Australia and the Australian Army by his conduct as a member of the SASR in Afghanistan.
Today is a day of justice. It's a day of justice for those brave men of the SAS who stood up and told the truth about who Ben Roberts-Smith is, a war criminal, a bully and a liar.
Two subsequent appeals were also dismissed, leaving Ben Roberts-Smith and his financial backer, Kerry Stokes, with an estimated legal bill of $25 million. It was a monumental defeat, but remarkably, even more is now on the line. Tom Steinford, 9 News.
Our National Affairs Editor, Andrew Probyn, joins me from Canberra. Andrew, this has been a long time coming.
It has, Pete. Ben Roberts-Smith's imposing figure has cast a shadow over Australia's contribution to the war in Afghanistan for a long time. He's Australia's most famous, most decorated living soldier, and now he's an accused murderer. But 6 years ago, when the Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force detailed allegations of war crimes in Afghanistan, it unfairly stained the honourable service of thousands of defence personnel. That investigation now faces its ultimate reckoning before a judge and jury. Pete?
We got the gist of it there. They did 11 minutes tonight, just repeating over and over.
They would have pre-packaged that waiting for this moment. I just want to comment on, I'm just seeing some of the people's comments as well. I mean, yeah, like these guys were interviewing random, what looked like Taliban individuals in Afghanistan. Like, come on, like the label civilian here is used very loosely when it comes to this type of warfare against, which is essentially a terrorist regime that uses civilians, whether to civilians as their force to commit all types of crimes and terrorist acts. So to go there and then like innocently just believe these so-called witnesses, I think it's drawing a very long bow between what can be considered credible testimony. I would, as an Australian, I would not view any type of testimony coming from Afghanistan, any witness, because there's nothing to corroborate any of it as being legitimate. Because
that's not just you saying it, because we'll watch now the press conference in a second.
Yeah, looking at the face of it, just as an ordinary Australian, looking at the face of it, like the general view of people in Afghanistan, that population, especially the Taliban and anyone that's loyal to the Taliban, is that the entire Middle East conflict in Afghanistan is a war crime, and that everyone involved is a war criminal, and that the leaders that were involved in making the decisions, everyone's a war criminal to them. So if you're going to ask them if a war crime is committed, they will just say yes by default. The understanding is very different. So the media going over there on a fishing expedition to find people. And I've seen some reports and some tweets that people have shared saying that the Australian government was offering money for people to come forward with allegations and things like this, probably true. To think that those allegations could be held to that standard without actual evidence, I don't think many Australians would buy that, because just by the very nature of this type of conflict, unfortunately, we have to concede that what appears to be civilians are sometimes actual terrorists and insurgents. And it's a very different type of war. This is not a war where you could even say like Ukraine and Russia, where it's identifiable who the armies are. So it's very different, Avi, I think, the standard. And most people are aware of that.
I can see Nick McKenzie right now on 7:30. I don't think we need to tune in to him gloating. There was one clip that I thought was interesting about Nick McKenzie today, talking about people's reaction, where he claims that he's getting a lot of support and he's also getting a lot of death threats. Because at the end of the day, this is all really Nick McKenzie. It was his obsession to this story that I think got us to where we are today. Okay, we'll watch. I'll put it on one a bit. We'll run it a bit faster so we don't have to listen to it at the speed. But I think there was some good points to pick up on when it comes to the press conference.
Australian Defence Force member has today been arrested and will be charged with 5 counts of war crime murder after a joint investigation between the Office of the Special Investigator and the AFP. The former soldier was arrested at Sydney's domestic airport this morning and is expected to face a New South Wales court later today. It will be alleged the man was a member of the ADF when he was involved in the death of Afghan nationals between 2009 and 2012 in circumstances that constitute war crimes under the Commonwealth Criminal Code. The offence of war crime murder carries a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. It will be alleged the victims were not taking part in hostilities at the time of their alleged murder in Afghanistan. It will be alleged the victims were detained, unarmed, and were under the control of ADF members when they were killed. It will be alleged the victims were shot by the accused or shot by subordinate members of the ADF in the presence of and acting on the orders of the accused. Operation Emerald Argon began in 2021 and is a joint investigation between the Office of the Special Investigator and the AFP. It has been a complex investigation that has been undertaken thoroughly and meticulously. We understand these charges will have an impact on several communities in Australia. Whenever I give a press conference, I do not just provide the facts in front of me, but I also address those impacted the most. So I want to now directly address concerns and questions that some may have. The alleged conduct related to these charges is confined to a very small section of our trusted and respected ADF, which helps keep this country safe. The overwhelming majority of our ADF do our country proud. Today's charges are not reflective of the majority members who serve under our Australian flag with honour, with distinction, and with the values of a democratic nation. Today is a day to rally behind the ADF and be mindful of the families whose loved ones have died while serving our country.
Maybe they should have thought of that before bringing these charges, even if they were going to bring these charges just right before Anzac Day. Maybe that's maybe if you really want us to believe that you care about the ADF members that are currently serving or veterans, maybe you could have held on to this and not done this whole parade so close to Anzac Day.
Yeah. Do you think there's a possibility that potentially the media did get a tip-off from someone inside the investigation and they were going to run a story on Anzac Day?
Who knows? It sounds like they were working... who knows? Who knows? But that shouldn't be up to the police. Like, the police should have just said, we're not doing it till after. You know, at least create some distance before the day that we honour our servicemen and women, the heroes. Yeah. Those that served, those that fell, and those that, Because remember, this is painting not just him. She's saying here that there is allegations that some of these murders he instructed. So there's, which is implicating other soldiers.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you can see from the language that they use, they want to distance, obviously, the rest of the ADF from it. But the reality is, you know, people like the Greens, for instance, who always brings up these instances in the Middle East as being war crimes by Australia, they will use it to smear the whole force. Like, this cannot just be put to an individual. Like, this has repercussions. And the reporting of that will reflect that in the coming days, I believe.
Just quickly, super chats. Thank you for the super chat. We got Danny, just the super chat, or the Daily Nation. Sorry, I don't know why I said Danny. Daily Nation. I can't read. And another one. Andrew Hastie was Robert Smith, SAS commander. Was he? Did he have anything to do?
I don't know if he was the SAS commander, but they did have Andrew Hastie did come as a witness against him, I believe, in defamation against him, and spoke out against him, and said he was something along the lines of, you can't quote me verbatim, but not supportive of the culture that Robert Smith was a part of, and he's ashamed.
Listen, the whole culture in the army and during wars is something that if you come from the outside, you're not going to like it. It's rough and tough. You're not sending people in to go play dance. And that's fine. Like even if you want to work on that culture, well, good luck fighting wars if that's your most important, pressing part of the war. You're sending people who you want them to be willing to get shot and for them to shoot people. And there's some posts actually from when we get to the reactions. There's an interesting post from of all people, Drew Pavlo, which I still can't believe that only a year ago voted for Labor. But he made some actual decent points today on this issue. We'll get to that. And I saw Elon engaged in some of what he was saying as well. Hooray, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. What do we got here? And we got 90932M says, in war, people are murdered. I think it pretty much defines what war is. You're going there to kill people. And
I want to reiterate, Avi, they are not. This is not a conventional. These are not conventional wars.
Which I was about to say. It goes to the point you were making.
Yeah, this is not a conventional war. Like, you are going into a village sometimes, and you do not know who the enemy is, in the sense that people can be setting booby traps for you. People that first appear friendly can be luring you to a trap. Like, this is well documented.
I've told you this. I think I've told you this story before when I was serving in Gaza, and I remember one of the scenarios that mostly stick out in my head that I remember so vividly, and I was like in this space where I'd never experienced anything like it, and since then I've never either experienced nothing up until that, and since then I've never experienced anything like it. And it was basically we were heading to the so basically the way it worked is that the fence, which is like the border after the buffer zone of the on Gaza, if anything touches it or if anyone comes within the 200 meters of it, it sends a thing that the vehicles, and that's why people talk about the stand down orders, whatever, whole side different point, but it sends a notification, and then we go to the border fence, and I went there, and our team was there, and I remember seeing there was in a distance a dad holding his two kids hands and walking towards the fence, and then one of the hands, like as we were coming closer, you have to fire warning shots and whatever, he's like waving a white cloth, and I remember thinking, and you start hearing and seeing he's getting shot from behind, they're targeting him from behind, but I remember thinking at the time, because everybody's ducking for cover, and there was one Ethiopian tracker with us who was just like the most ballsy guy on the team, but he was much older than us, and he just seemed fearless. We were worried, one, about getting shot by whoever's targeting them, but even more so, like, what's going through your head is you're thinking, I really want to help this father and his two helpless kids. And the kids, more than anything, that grabs you. You can't help but feel, the pain. The pain of that scenario. But I'm thinking in my head, and I felt guilty for it. I'm thinking, what do I do? Because, and this is what everyone's thinking is, what if this is just a trap? And they're just trying to get as close as they can towards us, and they're all, strapped with bombs, and as soon as we get close to them, they're going to detonate, and we're dead. And that's the reality of it. That happens. And so in this case, in Afghanistan, I'm sure it was very similar. It's the same tactics. It's the same terrorist organizations. They from the same playbook. And even when you go through villages and they tell you something, and at the time, I think, and that was based on, I remember vaguely the story, but also Drew was talking about it today, is how they were hunting the killers of a bunch of 3 Aussie diggers that had been killed earlier in that day or in the previous days. They were hunting for their killers, and they were going through. So there was like a mental thing at the time as well, where they're just trying to find these people. And you don't know how much the guy that they had there sitting there in Afghanistan that they were interviewing, acting like he was just some innocent Afghani. Like, maybe he was, but very likely, very possible, especially back then. Maybe now he's gone back to being a shepherd, but back then, maybe for a bit of cash or for ideology or for whatever reason, he was helping the Taliban. He was part of the war effort from their side. Maybe he wasn't physically holding it, or even he was, like a lot of these people, these farmers, these shepherds, they by night they're shooting the AK-47s, and in the day they're working with their animals. Like, that's just the nature of it. It's not a traditional army like the ADF that were out there fighting against the ADF. And I'm sure mistakes also happen. That happens in every war. But the claim here is that they went out of their way, that he went out of his way and just murdered these people and instructed.
I mean, that's what I take umbrage to most, because they're making it seem like he was some type of conventional war, and they were fighting like the established Afghani army, when reality is they were fighting terrorists that don't wear uniforms. So really, this whole distinction between who is a fighter and who is a civilian becomes way more important. And the decisions that they make and the rules of engagement become much looser, Avi, in those environments. And I would, as an Australian, my number one priority is, Australian soldiers take precedence. Like, their lives need to be protected in that 100%. Environment. As an Australian, they have to make decisions that should protect their lives and the lives of the people that are serving next to them. And of course, our national security interests. So that's what takes precedence, unfortunately, when we send people off to fight in different countries, when other men in positions of power send them off to fight there, that should be their first priority, is to protect themselves and each other. Because what have we gained, let's say, from the war in Afghanistan? If we look today, and those lives that there's dozens of Australians killed there. If we just focus on Australia, what has the gain been from that? If we just look at it from that aspect, so really, you'd want these people, these soldiers, protecting themselves first, because when time passes, everything's forgotten, and these people are demonized. And that's just the reality of it. So in that moment, I would expect these soldiers, the first and foremost thing they're doing is ensuring that they live and they survive and they get out of that place as they're executing their commands.
Yep. Baz Dark Horse, thank you for the super chat. Says the goat enthusiast will be licking their lips in jail. I hope Ben has allies. I was actually thinking about that. Jail is not going to be. And where did they say he was? Silverwater. I think if I'm not mistaken, it'll be the biggest gang is the Aboriginal, and then the next controlling the jails are Lebanese and Muslim gangs. Yeah, I dare say he would have to be in protection, but even there, who knows? I hope he gets out tomorrow for him and his family's sake, and let's see how it plays out in court. But if it is the same level of standard of evidence that they're applying from the civil case, and they don't have any other real great evidence, and based on what we're about to watch, I feel like they don't have anything new.
Yeah, and I think people have to, there's people saying, I see on X all the time now, like, oh, he was found guilty in the defamation thing. Totally different standards. And it's going to be more rigorous now when that evidence is examined, whatever evidence that they have in a criminal trial. It's going to be way more rigorous. And, when we talk about something like beyond reasonable doubt, based on whatever we saw in the defamation case, there was a lot of doubt. Especially with the lack of evidence. But yeah, Avi, I think we should play the press conference.
Yeah, we'll keep going. Appreciate your work, dudes, and thank you. And thanks for fighting the good fight. Love will win in the end. I'm Israel Chai, Paya de Iran. Did I pronounce that right?
I normally hear Javad Shah.
Yeah, that's what I usually see. Advanced Australia Fair. I don't actually know what the Paya de...
Long live Iran.
Oh, is that what that was? The Paya de...
I don't know. Just... Either.
Thanks for the super chat, mate. And 90932 says Trump thinks IDF is a joke. I don't know if you mean ADF or IDF in this case, but I doubt he thinks the IDF is a joke. I don't know what our army looks like at the moment since DEI hiring and since throwing our war heroes under the bus. Payday means long live. Yep, you were right. You were right, Rukshan. Fantastic CM Arnock says, G'day fellows, just seem They're making Roberts as the fall guy to rid themselves of any scrutiny and to appease the few. It's a waste of time. That is my gut feeling as well. But I think also, I think there's a lot at play here. Anyways, let's keep watching. No, do you want to say something?
No, I was going to say it's pretty much the activist class, because once the media opens that can of worms, the government, these authorities, cannot be seen to be ignoring it.
Yeah.
So once they get their foot into it, and they follow this same train of thought and spend $300 million, there has to be some sort of conclusion to spending that money.
Yeah.
And it is like this ultimate scapegoating, I think, of the entire saga of whatever people think of that. It does feel like, from that super chat, like Ben Roberts-Smith is being scapegoated for everything. Like, it's almost like if we kind of put him in jail for life, it'll absolve the military of all the other issues that have come up regarding all of this. We're the good guys. We actually put in jail the ultimate war hero. We put him in jail.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. It feels like
what all the coverage feels like that as well.
Yeah, it's like we can say to you now, we are the most ethical people, virtuous people, because we even hold our most decorated war hero to an impossible standard. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be an impossible standard. And anybody that hasn't served in a frontline war will not understand everything about it. So what may look like to you as something wrong, in that circumstance, I would argue, is often not what it looks like. Anyways.
Those charged or facing charges under these joint investigations will face the justice system in Australia. This is my message to the families of victims and the Australian community who want and deserve answers. Furthermore, this investigation remains ongoing. I encourage those who have relevant information to come forward to the OSI if they have not yet done so. This is the second time a joint OSI and AFP investigation has laid war crime murder charges against a former ADF member in Australia. I want to thank the hard-working members of OSI and AFP for their continued dedication. I also want to thank state and territory law enforcement agencies that have provided assistance during this investigation. This matter is now before the court, so I'm constrained about what further information can be provided. I'll now hand over to OSI Director Investigations Ross Barnett, and then we'll take some questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today's action is a significant step and is underpinned by a careful and professional investigation under challenging circumstances and the gathering of evidence over a lengthy period. The seriousness of these charges has deserved nothing less. I want to acknowledge the team, past and present, for the resilience, investigative acumen and impartiality they have demonstrated throughout this investigation. Equally, it is also important to acknowledge that the person charged is entitled to the presumption of innocence until determined otherwise. The OSI has, in total, commenced 53 investigations involving allegations of war crimes by Australian Defence Force members in Afghanistan. 39 of those matters have now been provisionally finalised unless new evidence emerges. Those 39 matters have also been comprehensively investigated to the same high standard as today's charges, but we have not gathered sufficient evidence to meet the threshold for the referral of a brief of evidence to the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. Other investigations remain ongoing. These war crimes allegations are extremely complex matters to investigate. However, we remain committed to completing the remaining investigations as expeditiously as possible.
Thank you. We'll take questions just one at a time, please.
Yes. Can I name him? Ben Roberts-Smith.
Our usual practice is we don't name people that we're talking about, so I'm not going to provide any further information.
So what was the 47-year-old's reaction when you intercepted him at the airport today?
Again, I'm not going to go into that detail this afternoon.
Was it a surprise arrest? Did he know that he was going to be arrested when he walked off that plane?
Again, that's not information that I'm going to go into.
These matters were subject to a federal court case. Has any new information come to light since that concluded that resulted in these arrests or these charges?
I would just say the investigation has been ongoing since 2021, and there's a lot of pieces of information that have formulated that investigation.
Is evidence or material from that defamation case being used in this prosecution?
Again, I will say the investigation's been underway since 2021, and investigators have used a raft of information to get us to where we are today.
That trial involved anonymous witnesses. How do you expect anonymous witnesses to use this investigation?
I'm not going to go into any detail about witnesses today.
Were all 5 of these alleged offences already the subject of findings to the civil standard in that defamation case, And were there any alleged war crimes proven to the civil standard in that case that are not included here, and if so, why?
Again, I'm not going to go into that level of detail. We expect that the man will be charged later this afternoon, and you will have access to the charges that have been laid.
What triggered the arrest today? Obviously, this has been a long investigation. Was there any particular reason that he was arrested today? He wasn't trying to leave the country or anything?
So there's a number of operational considerations that we factor into our planning and when to effect an arrest and how, but I'm not going to go into that detail, just to say that there's a number of operational considerations that we factor in.
You mentioned that this is the second time someone's been charged for alleged war crimes in Australia. The first being Oliver Shaw back in 2023. So he was charged in 2023. The time of the alleged offending was in the early 2010s, and he's still yet to stand trial until some estimates say 2027. The RSL has previously condemned the AFP OSI for taking too long on these kinds of things and dragging down therefore the name of people who have served. I guess what's your response to that?
What I would say is, as I've indicated and the Commissioner's indicated, these investigations are incredibly complex. And if I can perhaps just provide a few examples of why these investigations are taking a protracted amount of time. Unlike a conventional investigation that's conducted in Australia, the OSI has been tasked with investigating literally dozens of murders alleged to have been committed in the middle of a war zone in a country 9,000 kilometres from Australia that we can no longer access. So the challenge for investigators is that because we can't go to that country, we don't have access to the crime scene. We don't have access to the crime scenes. We don't have photographs, site plans, measurements, the recovery of projectiles, blood spatter analysis, all of those things we would normally get at a crime scene. If you add to that we don't have access to the deceased, there's no post-mortem, therefore there's no official cause of death. There's no recovery of projectiles to link to weapons that might have been carried by members of the ADF. So there are a lot of practical challenges that confront the investigators who are doing all of these jobs. Often we have to start our investigation only with one or two photographs on the battlefield and some contemporary ADF reporting and potentially some third-party eyewitness testimony about what's alleged to have occurred.
So that actually goes back to what we were talking about before, and I thought, like, you corrected me, but I stand by what I was saying, because I think that what I'm hearing here is that the entire investigation is built around mostly these eyewitness testimonies, either from these Afghani shepherds or whatever, and former other people from a couple of people, the people that were featured that wouldn't show their face on national TV. It would be interesting to see if they're going to be protected.
Yeah, I mean, it's even in Australia, in a murder case, when there's no body, for instance, it's a very hard case to prosecute. And now we're talking about war crimes where the crime scene, the people that were involved, besides, let's say the ADF members that were there with Ben Robert Smith, besides them, there's nothing really. He's saying
exactly. He's saying
there's a couple of photos
because I think he corrected me. I think he corrected me saying that that's what they started with nothing. But it sounds like from what he's saying, they never had it.
You're right. Yeah, when I was listening to him again, it sounds like they don't really have anything.
They don't have anything physical except they based the investigation off a couple of photos to begin with, and eyewitness testimony, and that's exactly what the civil case was based on. And I heard all that testimony, watched it. There was nothing that compelling. So it's just they're dragging him through the mud.
Just leaves the door open that if you're in wartime, you're in an incident, and your team decide to turn on you for whatever reason, it takes a couple of them to come up with a story, and then that's enough, and we should accept that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be bringing confidence to people that go into these kind of war zones, to be completely honest, because that's what it sounds like. And again, they're trying to tie it in with this culture and all these kind of things as well. But it's irrelevant. Like I said before, Avi, the only thing that matters now is what happened for these 5 murders that they're talking about, alleged murders. And it sounds like they have nothing to corroborate any of it besides what people say that happened after 17, 20 years after a media investigation happened. So really, it's all speculative, to be completely honest, in my opinion.
It does feel like that. Let's keep watching it.
Challenging starting point for all these investigations.
Are you confident there may be more charges and more arrests over this matter?
There are more investigations still to be finalised, and I'm not going to comment on what the outcome of those investigations might be, other than to say there'll be only two possible outcomes. They'll either be finalised or there'll be a brief supplied to the DPP.
Are there more investigations on this particular matter?
I'm not going to comment on the substance of the remaining investigations, other than to say that we haven't finished our work and there are still more matters to be resolved.
There are 3 charges that are in relation to aiding and abetting others. How many others do you believe are involved in these matters?
I'm not in a position to comment on the particulars of these matters because they're before the court, but investigations are ongoing.
In relation to the 39 investigations finalised but at this stage not proceeding and the 10 investigations ongoing, are any of those allegations of war crimes against the same person as these 5?
I'm not going to comment on the substance of the remaining investigations.
Even the 39 that are finalised, you're not going to say whether any of those relate to the same person?
No, I'm not going to comment on the specifics of any of those, other than to say that all of those matters were investigated to the same high standard that these matters have been investigated.
Commissioner, will police be opposing bail?
Just on that, Avi,
There's obviously a process that...
What did you say?
So they're saying there's potentially other ones that they're investigating related to the same incidents. So I'm guessing it's potentially other people that the other soldiers, right, that were with him.
Well, the soldiers that he said that they're claiming that he instructed to shoot.
Yeah, and normally, like when I look at this type of scenario, what does the state do? They try to turn people against each other.
Yep.
And individually, people lawyer up. Okay, lawyers get involved. Stories start, changing a little bit, and it ends up being, how do I protect myself? And as much as we want to think, people are honourable and all this kind of stuff, when you're under the spotlight and you could potentially end up being like Ben Roberts-Smith as well, what do? Do you turn state's witness? And I'm just speculating here, but
it's all speculation. But human nature
kicks possible.
Human nature kicks in all of this, and you got the tall poppy syndrome. You've got the fact that people were thinking, all right, maybe we did some stuff that now, looking 20 years later, could be judged by a civilian as borderline dodgy while we were on the hunt for the killers who killed our Aussie fellow guys from the unit. It's like it's understandable that they were able to turn a few people. Who knows? Like, it's just...
It just becomes a he said, she said type scenario without any of that evidence.
They play complete tricks on you. They would have pulled out every trick in the book, used little pieces of evidence, said, we know this. But it's not that hard, especially if you're telling the person, you're either, some of the people, whether they were getting paid or immunity from anything, if you just tell us what we want to hear. And we know that it was dodgy, and we'll have to see what actually plays out in court. But by the press conference, it sounds like nothing more compelling than what they showed in the civil case, which just wasn't that compelling.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, I agree.
But the standard there, you got to remember, the standard of thing to be able to get a guilty is much higher in a criminal case. So if they're planning on going with the same evidence, it may not
Is it
wash.
Also, I'm not a legal expert when it comes to war crimes as well. Is the standard for murder, for war crimes, it must be different, slightly different? Or is it the same? That's probably an expert on that.
That's a good point, but any criminal is always, the standard is far higher than civil. Yeah. I can't remember the wording of the actual, what they needed to determine in the civil. Because what is it? It's just by memory. I'm working off the top of my head. It's beyond reasonable doubt. And the other one is that there is, what's it called? There's a technical term.
Mens rea.
What is that?
Mens rea. I should know.
Did you study law?
I did.
Did you? Hold on. It's
a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it's the motive. I never did criminal law like that.
Hold on. There is somebody in the comments know the terms between
mens rea, like guilty mind, intent to murder.
Is that but for civil, what it is?
No, for civil, I don't think it's. Civil's a different standard altogether. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not that.
the standard's much lower. So the thing of probabilities have to be
That's it. Balance of probabilities.
Balance of probabilities have to be what for civil? Do you know? Anyway,
I don't know exactly.
It's like it's there's a massive gap between it.
Yeah.
I used to know this really well because I was in and out of court so often. Anyways, let's not get into that. Let's finish watching this and then see some of the reactions.
That will be gone through today in terms of what happens next. I'm not going to go into detail about that.
You're not going to say whether your police will insist that you fail or refuse?
I'm not going to share that detail.
Have the families of the victims of these alleged crimes, have they been informed about these developments?
There are obviously challenges with being able to access and communicate with people inside Afghanistan for obvious reasons. So we are fortunate that we have established links with some expats, both in Australia and in friendly third countries, and we try and leverage those relationships to get those messages done. But at the same time, it's just not safe for us to contact people directly inside Afghanistan.
So does that mean that most of them don't know about these developments?
Potentially they may not, but we've got to act on advice given to us by...
So, they don't even have the families of the so-called victims, alleged victims. It sounds like they don't have very much, but we'll see in the case.
And I have not. Whenever we see these kind of, we see it more recently now when it comes to some of the individuals who end up dead. For instance, during the conflict in Israel or in Lebanon or in Iran even. Have you seen, Avi, when they're clearly like members of Hezbollah and they're clearly terrorists? The families will come out and be like, just a good boy.
Yeah,
never done anything bad. And at the same time, they're draping them in like a Hezbollah flag or whatever it is.
He was a journalist. He was just a journalist, and then you see the photo of him with the gun.
Some of these families will never see some of these individuals as being terrorists. Like they don't view the world in the way that we do.
Yeah, they don't care.
It's not a fair fight for our soldiers when they go to these countries. It is not a fair fight. And even when you come to adjudicating these things in a court of law, for instance, I'm not trying to be rude to Afghanistanis or whatever, but we can't view them in the same manner when we look at a normal individual.
Especially when there's guerrilla warfare.
It's a different world. It's a different country. It is can't be the same standard that we apply to the things that they're saying.
When you had soldiers, when you had our war heroes there for months, if not years on end, who were living in this reality where the enemy and the innocent looked the same, often crossed over. So by day they were innocent, by night they were guilty, or they were protecting the guilty and whatever. And your friends just got killed, and you're hunting the killers. It is all going to mush into one. And yes, you may end up doing things that technically, for an armchair critic, will be crossing the line if you take that moment on its own and judge it on that, and judge the behaviour in that without taking any of the context of any of it, whether it's the context of the actual war, the strategy and techniques used by the terrorist enemy, and also the fact that they've just killed your friend. By the way, just the standard proof in Australia, the difference is, you're right, the standard is in defamation, so civil is on the balance of probabilities, in criminal it's beyond reasonable doubt, and there's a big difference. So civil meaning on the balance of probabilities means the court decides what is more likely than not. So just over 50% is considered guilty from whether they believe that it's guilty, and on a beyond reasonable doubt is that the judge or jury think that it is almost certain of guilt. So if you're looking in numbers wise, it's over 50%. If you think it's possible that he did it, then you can, if you're convinced, just over 50, so 51%, you're done. He's beyond on the balance of probabilities, but beyond reasonable doubt, you look at, it has to be over 90%. You've got it. So there's a big leap, and if you
a big leap, and there's also some great comments I'm reading as well. Technically, like when you go, when you go to fight these terrorists, these terrorists are not beholden to any conventions. Any international law,
There's always a double standard in these.
There's a double standard, and I just wanted to make that point because I thought that was a great comment that people.
Yeah, you're fighting two parallel wars. That's what infuriates me when I watch, the commentary on Israel and Hamas. You're like, dude, you have one that's trying not to hit civilians, and the other one's trying to hit civilians. And in relation to this, you have the same thing, a guerrilla thing that look exactly like civilians that actually try to blend into the civilian population, so that you either one hurt more civilians so that they can claim war crimes like this, or that you have soldiers that are just going to go out of their way. And especially now, like, I would hate to see Australian soldiers having to be deployed anywhere where they're going to be too scared to deal with the terrorists because they don't know what's going to happen after the fact. I would be shit scared of that. I would be scared of that if that was me, because I know what it is in that situation. You don't have time to think of it. You need to just give them the power to do their jobs. And it's on the terrorists. Like, all of this is on the terrorists that operate with these tactics when they use their own civilian population. Remember, the Afghanis were their civilian population. When they used their civilian population to either hide or to hide them or to be a part of their war efforts in any which way, that's on them, not our Australian heroes who we sent to fight for us. Okay, let's finish watching this part.
About the geopolitical situation and the position of the Australian government to these things.
What impact is the current conflict in the Middle East having on the position of the country?
Nothing more than it has been for the last 5 years. The challenges that I spoke about, the situation in Afghanistan has only deteriorated over time. It's only made our job more difficult, and we don't see that changing in the immediate future.
Are you in contact with the Taliban government over Israel?
We are not, no.
Given the length of this investigation and the difficulties you outlined in obtaining evidence, would you consider this the most significant war crimes prosecution in Australian history?
I think it would be fair to say that the two prosecutions launched by this joint investigation are the first time that the relevant provisions in the Criminal Code of Australia have been used against serving ADF officers, yes.
How much of a role did the media investigation, the newspaper investigation into this matter assist this investigation leading to his arrest?
Well, we take information from a range of sources, including the media, and we assess all of that information and we feed that into our process.
Was it crucial?
All information we get is important.
Can you tell us where he was going and coming back from when he was arrested?
So he was travelling to Sydney from Brisbane.
Do you know if he was planning to board a flight after that, though, an international flight?
I'm not going to go into that detail today.
Do you have the time of that arrest?
Sorry?
What time was that arrest?
The precise time, I would have to get that for you.
Who was with him at the time?
I'm not going to go into detail about who was with him in terms of family or whatever. I'm not going to share that detail.
Have any of the participants in these 5 matters been granted immunity from prosecution other than the 47-year-old arrested?
For obvious reasons, these matters are now before the court, and I'm just not in a position to speculate about the Crown case. That's a matter for the future criminal proceedings and the trial in due course.
It's fair to say there'll be more arrests made, given that there are other individuals associated with some allegations.
I wouldn't confirm or deny that. We'll continue this investigation until we get to the end point, and wherever the evidence leads, that's where we'll go to. And if the evidence leads to other people needing to be charged, you can be assured that will happen.
Last question, please, guys. Can you tell us about the size of the team involved in this investigation and how much they worked for over the past 5 years?
The OSI started with an investigative group of approximately 54 people, and bear in mind that's to investigate 53 allegations of murder from scratch. The resources assigned to various investigations fluctuates over time. As we're able to finalise matters, we're able to reassign staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think somebody makes a good point here. Are those ISIS brides to be charged?
That's a great comment. I tweeted that today because we are living in a country. If you look at the kind of the paradox or whatever you want to term this as, in one area in our country, for instance, we are bringing back ISIS terrorists into Australia, to live among the general population. Right, our government and our security, law enforcement are working behind the scenes, often in secret, to bring back these ISIS bride terrorists, people that willfully left this country to commit acts of terror against the national interests of Australia and, of course, against civilian populations. The barbaric acts of terrorism. We're trying to help them and bring them back to the country, to Australia, and at the same time, we have then law enforcement, the political class, some of the media class, going after war heroes and veterans and people that served, fighting these battles to protect Australia and trying to lock them up for life. Like, this is where we are at as a country in Australia. And look, they're totally not related in a way, but I think it's a good commentary to understand where we are as a country when it comes to these issues. And I'm not saying, Avi, like a lot of people are misinterpreting this, saying that somehow, the ADF and Australian soldiers are incapable of war crimes. This is not what I'm talking about. We're talking about this has been, this is also not something new. We've seen some of the evidence related to this. I just don't think the standards have been met for us to say that 100%
the reasonable doubt that
this happened,
murdered
for even to get to this level. It's different if there was some sort of footage, some sort of body cam type thing.
It doesn't sound like they have anything.
If there's something like this, I'll hold my breath.
And did you listen to the media, the press club there?
Yeah, was it because of us?
Pitchforks out. Let's hang him. What else? Just discussing. Look at Mackenzie, Nick Mackenzie. I bet you he pre-wrote this, waiting for it. From war hero to accused serial killer, the unravelling of Ben Robert Smith. Sydney Morning Herald, The Age today. Like, this is for sure pre-written.
that framing as, it's a serial killer. It's a term that we associated with someone who is a psychopath.
It is
that
so
specifically
gross.
goes out of their way to kill people for the pleasure of killing. That's really what a serial killer is, and this is way that it's been framed by. Is that Channel 9? Is that Nick Mackenzie? Is it?
That's Nick Mackenzie. Yeah. So because he does The Age, or it was always a joint investigation. Well,
people in the comments are saying there's footage. There's lots of footage. There isn't footage.
There's no footage of murder
themselves, because that would be an open and shut case. It's never been like that. That's why we had the defamation.
If there was footage of it, that would have been run on 24 hours replay on Nick Mackenzie's Facebook page. Like, the guy's been obsessed with this story. He's tried to get everyone. They've done some dodgy. They've paid off a bunch of, at least the ex-wife at the time. Like, I think even by memory, correct me if I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Afghani got paid as well to be interviewed on the show, in the episode, by memory. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure they did pay him. Anyways, let's read some of these super chats and then get to some of the reactions. We got fantastic CMR Knox. Am I meant to read that in a different way? I don't know. It's a fantastic MR Knox. Fantastic Mr. Knox. There you go. That's better. This is the same AFB who said there's nothing suspicious with travel to the two ISIS-aligned Bondi shooters. AFB now is completely gone. Yeah, that is a good point. The AFB that could find nothing, even after the fact, about those two Islamic terrorists on Bondi. We're meant to rely on the fact that, and it's interesting because when he says that it's only gotten harder as they went along with regards to the situation in Afghanistan. And when did the Taliban take it back? I think it was 2021, because they're saying this investigation started in 2021.
Was it just after Biden became? No, I think it was a little bit 2022. I think maybe when did Biden messed that up? Oh, it was just after he became president, wasn't it? Yeah,
which is 2020.
Yeah,
which was 2020. So it means that they've never really had any access there at all.
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. 90932M says war is for friends. Yeah, I know. I can feel the sarcasm. Thank you for the super chat. Nis Mojunk says Sam Bradford dropped a short and did not hold back. You know what? I'd be interested in seeing what Sam Bradford, because remember I did a video pointing out that Sam was actually doing exactly what the media's and what many veterans complain, and that I am 100% with him. to Israeli soldiers not that long ago. So I was actually interested to see what his reaction will be. Let's have a watch at what Sam Bradford. I hope he's not just cringy on this one. Hopefully it's...
Robert Smith just got arrested for alleged war crimes, and here's my thoughts. The government doesn't get to send Australia's best, most courageous men within our society to go fight in a foreign conflict and then judge us when we get home for what happened over there. The government doesn't get to send us into a war zone where the enemy blend in with the general population and go unseen. You don't get to send us into a war zone where they use IEDs and women and children as human shields. You don't get to send us into a war zone where they strap 13 kilos worth of explosives to 14-year-old boys and blow them sky fucking high. That happened on my trip. You don't get to send us into a war zone on the 29th of August where they get Taliban soldiers to infiltrate the Afghan National Army, which partnered with the Australian Defence Force over there, then turn around and shoot my mates. Killed 3 in one night. You don't get to send us into that type of war zone and then judge us for what happened over there when we get home. And guess who was the first respondent on the 29th of August? That's right, Ben Robert Smith and his team were the first one to fly in and make the scene safe. You don't get the right to spend $300 million over the past decade to send the AFP into Afghanistan to go on a witch hunt. You know, the AFP and our government have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to Afghan nationals over in Afghanistan to write witness statements against Ben Robert Smith. Did you know that? Do you know that's where your taxpayer dollars are going? Do you not think that an Afghan national over there who is poor as hell would take the money and just write whatever they want, write whatever they're told to? And you know the one thing with all of this Australia-hating culture has allowed to fester over the past decade. You can't tell me that this isn't all coordinated with the attack on young men in our society, telling them they're useless, pumping our kids full of hormones and destroying the next generation, trying to tell us that the land we're on is stolen, and now going after our military, going after the toughest, most courageous alpha males within our society. This is the Australia-hating culture that everyone is talking about. Let me tell you right now, if you want to sit there and judge us, if you want to sit there and say we should have done X, Y, and Z, go fucking spend a day fighting in a war. Go fucking spend a day fighting against an enemy which uses women and children as human shields. Go fucking fight a day in a war where they get 13-year-old boys and strap 15 kilos worth of explosives to and blow that little fucker sky high. Go fight a day in that. What's your thoughts?
Well,
I totally agree with Sam.
100% agree with everything that he said. I think, of course, he's someone that served previously and he's been in the ADF, so he's coming from that perspective as well. That's why he's bringing it back to himself. But I 100% agree with everything that he said there. But I cannot help, Avi, but see the hypocrisy in some of the things that Sam is saying there. Because that standard, especially on some of his commentary around accusations against the IDF, for instance. And again, we have to, I'm just going to be realistic here, Avi. Like, the accusations which are being made by the ADF is being made by law enforcement in Australia, the AFP, media organizations in Australia. So they carry some weight based purely on that. But this is also the same Sam who has pushed allegations made by people like the Taliban, terrorists themselves, organizations like Hamas, and not given the same benefit of the doubt to those allegations.
And was happy to sit there while I was being called a child killer on his show. I also served in a war. I also served in the exact kind of war that he describes there, where they use women and children as human shields. I've watched all that, probably more than Sam bloody Bamford has ever seen. I saw it all. And I agree with every freaking word he just said there. But he doesn't apply that same energy when it's not politically safe for him to do it. And it's so sickening to watch him do that. I'm glad he's standing up for his comrades now. It would have been, I wasn't sure if he would be brave enough now where it's become popular to shit on our diggers, to shit on everything that's important to us. But actually, I'm going to play that little video that I...
And this is the thing, right? This is why I guess like Israelis, like people in Israel, for instance, stand up for the IDF, and especially if you're ex-IDF, you stand up for them because you have that same camaraderie. It's the same thing.
And
like,
you know, you say that passion that's a passion. That's the first time I've seen in a long time now Sam Bradford really have genuine passion. Like I feel like all his videos, and that's why I started with that one right before I said I hope he's not being cringe, because recently it's all being cringe. It's all performative outrage. Here I can see it's hit him because he knows that's how I feel all the time when I hear people like him talking about us and him. And that's why I've always said I would have thought he should know better because he's been in the situation. Or he keeps talking about being in a situation, having friends being in the situation, that you're fighting against people that use human shields, that use children to blow you up, that use the worst kind of tactics, and then you have other people sitting at home judging you for your actions in that moment. Hold on, let me play that video because this is literally from March 18. What are we on? Like a few weeks ago. This is my video in response to him when he had somebody on his podcast calling me a child killer. Now they want me deported.
Even Avi Yemini, absolutely, I'll deport. No, IDF soldiers that have shot children in the head.
Isn't that hilarious, Sam? Should I be deported for shooting children in the head? It's a weird reaction coming from a bloke who says he's seen war firsthand and knows exactly what these kinds of smears do.
I have friends in the military that have had their houses raided because of war crimes that have never been proven correct.
Yep.
It's true. Too often our heroes come home and get smeared as war criminals based on complete lies. So it's pretty telling. You seem to find it funny when it's happening to me, or you're happy to jump on the bandwagon when it's Israel.
Ministers are calling the accused IDF soldiers heroes. Right, crowds are even flooding the street defending these rapists. Who do these people think they are? Honestly, who do they think they are? Do these people think they're above the law? Do they think they're above decency? Do they think they sit above everyone else? Because the last time I checked, rape and torture, that was a bad thing, right? Not to be celebrated like badges of honour.
Yeah, for those wondering, that story has since been completely debunked. The same footage Sam was running on repeat, well, that was thrown out of court for dodgy editing. And even the edited version didn't show what he was claiming, which is why I keep challenging Sam to debate me on this particular issue. But he comes up with every excuse under the sun because he knows how it ends. I'll expose him as either a liar or a hypocrite. And it's just it's infuriating because when I said
I don't want to make light of it and laugh, but when you listen to the way that he's like, who do these people think they are?
Just apply what he just said there about the Israelis. Put on Ben Robert Smith.
That's what the left is. That's what the lefties in Australia are saying at the moment about Ben Robert Smith. They're like saying, well, he's not above the law. Who do these Australian soldiers think they are? These war criminals. Like, that's how they're speaking right now. So it's the same thing. Again, we're kind of going off on a tangent, but I won't bother up in the super chat.
Thanks for the super chat.
But the point stands that there is this hypocrisy, and I'm seeing that as well as it relates to this, because people who believe these Hamas propaganda about everything all of a sudden now disbelieve the Australian authorities and the Australian media, saying it's not real. But I would say, Avi, Hamas compared to the Taliban, they make Taliban sometimes look like school kids in terms of their tactics and the way that they go about operating in a theater of war. So all these things are related in a way when we talk about these issues. Like, you cannot be a serious commentator and say one type of thing is, not real and propaganda when it relates to terrorism and how terrorists behave, and then just be like, oh, well, because I've served in the ADF or I'm Australian, I don't believe these people now. They're liars now. Like, what is it? Do the Taliban lie or is it Hamas lying?
I'm concerned. And then this is what I love about you. This is what I love about Pauline Hanson. This is what I love about people that are just morally consistent, not where it's popular for clicks. And when I was saying that, I hate how I've seen over the period of time, the last months, since he started going on his Jew-hating rant, it's all been cringe and fake. Like, even the outrage in that, compare that now to his reel today, that felt real. His video today, that felt raw. And that, Sam, that's the energy you should bring to your work. Be honest, be true, speak from the heart, and apply it consistently. Don't just because your audience captured, you think the internet wants to hear you having a little bitch about Israeli soldiers doing exactly what you're talking about. And these are people that didn't do one tour in Afghanistan or Iraq like you did. These are people that their entire life is having to deal with that. These are people that have lost not just 1 or 2 friends or 3 friends. Everybody's lost family members to this same shit. But somehow, for you, it's easy to understand, it's easy to forgive, it's easy to when it's happening in Australia. But you can laugh it off. You can laugh it off when it comes to me in Israel, or you can mock, or you can condemn the Israelis in the exact same way lefties do here to our heroes. Hopefully, he realizes that is a mirror. So either shut up because you're too scared of your own audience. If you're scared of your own audience because you know that it is popular now amongst your viewers to be a Jew hater, to just hate on Israel for the sake of hating Israel, then shut up, don't prick it up. But otherwise, you look like a fucking two-faced, you look like such a hypocrite. You look like such a hypocrite when you don't apply it evenly.
Look, I would and it's possible to be like this. I know people think like, oh, you got to be a certain way. Look, it's not hard to be consistently against terrorists.
It's so easy.
As a Westerner, as someone who's in the West, as an Australian, I don't like terrorists. Whether they're terrorists fighting against Australia or they're terrorists fighting against the USA or Israel, whatever it is, as a Westerner, I look at some of these terrorists and I'm like, I don't like that. Like, these are not my people. I'm not a terrorist person. So benefit of the doubt for me always goes to our people, which is the West, right? Yeah. And that's the default stance. And it's okay to be like that.
And someone's like, I see someone in the comment. I don't think Avi is an unbiased source at all. And I'm assuming they're being sarcastic. If they're not, I'm sorry, but I'm assuming they're being sarcastic. Well, I don't think Sam is an unbiased. You can literally apply the same arguments. I don't think Sam's an unbiased thing at all in this. Of course, I'm biased. Of course, Sam's biased. Of course, everyone I'm a biased Australian. I will stand for our heroes. The only way you will convince me that one of our heroes did something wrong is if you show me real, straight, undeniable proof. Not a bunch of poor Afghanis who were getting paid to make statements, or a bunch of angry, resentful comrades 20 years later that are suddenly remembering they were part of war crime. No, I want to see if you're going to throw away and lock away our heroes for the rest of their life for the service that we sent them on, it has to be foolproof. And no journalist and no one sitting at home can judge it.
I want to just confirm, I'm 100% biased towards Australia, and I will always put Australians above Afghani goat herders or whatever Taliban or whoever it is saying things without proof and evidence. That's just the way. That's the reality.
And you know what's crazy to me is the most based people today is insane to me is somebody like Drew Pavlo, who a year ago voted for Labor.
And defended Drew. We love Drew, but he also defends his vote. He came on our show defending himself and voting for Labor. And he's done a complete 360, which is great to see because he's become a prominent voice for conservatives.
I think it's a 180, not a 360. I think
180.
Came
sorry, 180. Sorry, he's at a 180. It's good to see, but yeah, definitely. At least he's speaking.
What did Drew? Listen to what Drew wrote today because this is interesting. He goes, a part of the Ben Robert Smith story that makes my blood boil is on the night of August 29, 2012, a Taliban sleeper agent in the Afghan National Army massacred 3 Australian soldiers in cold blood as they prepared to sleep on their own base. And this is what Sam was referring to. Their names were Private Robert, Poet Sapper James Martin, and Lance Corporal Rick Milosevic. The rogue Afghan soldier was named Hekmatullah It was the fourth insider or green on blue attack by Taliban sleeper agents in the Afghan National Army against Australian soldiers in 15 months. Out of the 41 Australians who died in Afghanistan, 7 died by the way of these insider attacks which technically constitute the war crime of perverting. And it's just important to note that all the soldiers that were deployed there at that time, including probably Sam, this is something that was on your mind all the time because you were working in close proximity, you were working with and alongside people that were supposed to be on your side, but could very well easily and did many times, 7 within the Australian, but in the American, there was plenty of these incidents where this happened. Hekmatullah's attack was a war crime under article Drew's getting us. We get it. It's definitely a war crime. By enlisting to the Afghan National Army and wearing its uniform, Hekmatullah presented himself as a co-belligerent, fighting alongside the Australian forces, not against them. He invited the confidence of the Australian soldiers so that to lead them. And this is all part of their tactics. They get involved in any way. This is just another one of those tactics. But they also act like they're the civilians. They act like they're the shepherd. They act like they're just innocent bystanders. And some of them, they're just a terrorist for the amount of hours that they're either being paid for or they're sympathetic to the ideology. Ben Robert Smith was one of the first on the base of that. After that attack, he was ordered to find and apprehend Hekmatullah in order to bring him to justice. Acting on intelligence, Robert Smith and his men were led to the village of Dawan, where Robert Smith is alleged to have committed a war crime, supposedly kicking a farmer named Ali Jan off a cliff and ordering his execution. Robert Smith has always maintained that Ali Jan was a Taliban spotter in the village and that was a Taliban stronghold, which makes perfect sense. And any of you who haven't been in this environment, please, for the love of God, shut the F up. It is a matter of historical fact that there was confirmed armed Taliban presence in the village of Dawan on the day of the raid. Robert Poet's father, Hugh, defended Ben Robert Smith and his actions. These citizens in the village could well have been civilian one day and pulling the trigger the next. That's the way the Taliban operated. This perspective should be included to provide some balance and context. Exactly. The Taliban fought by blending into the civilian population. They pushed sleeper agents into the Afghan National Army and murdered our soldiers in moments of vulnerability. Where is Hekmatullah today? He lives in Afghanistan as a free man, feted as a hero by the Taliban. They don't give an F about international law or human rights or war crimes. They openly boast about the way they slaughtered our soldiers through acts of betrayal and perfidy. I don't even know what that word means. Anyways, so my proposal is this. Australia can put Ben Robert Smith on trial when the Taliban hand over Hekmatullah, preferably dead. His head is on a silver platter. But Drew always has to just go over the top. But I do, the sentiment I understand and I agree with. Why don't we hold the trial? Why don't we charge him once we have the guy that killed our guys? Until then, free Robert Smith, Ben Robert Smiths. I agree. I can't I don't know if I hate these people more that they make me love Drew by the day more and more. Mark says Avi must debate Sam Bamford anytime. Mark, I am up for it. I keep telling him to do it. If you guys, any of you watching this, are fans of Sam, tell him to debate me on this one issue.
But you guys have so much in common. That's the thing. It's just it's so weird.
Because he's audience captured, and he has been. And you know what? People don't know. This guy called me after when he went against the neo-Nazis. He was so scared for the first time. In the beginning, he was good. And then he called me when he got attacked by the neo-Nazis. And I gave him my time because I liked what he was doing. And I liked that we had a veteran standing up and having a voice. And back then, he was so much more sincere. It was before that first March of Australia thing. And then he realized when he was getting attacked by all the neo-Nazis that there is so many bots online that that there's an army of them, whether they're real or fake, that just want to hear more of the Jew hatred stuff, and he just went with it. Oh, I think that one I read already. Thank you for the super chat. That was the one that gave me the Sam. Michelle says, went to Afghanistan and asked the Afghans what really happened. Yeah. Michael, I agree with you.
You can't ask the people in Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, really, even if it wasn't during that time, who just view Australia, the entire thing, as a war crime. Of course, everything that happened is criminal to them. It's just like this is just a crappy standard of investigation, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. But that's looks like what they're doing. What do we have here? This guy just admitted he has no evidence except trust me, bro, and using witness also the trust me, bro. As I said before, waste of time. That's fantastic, Mr. Knox. Totally agree, and thank you for the super chat. Thanks all of you for the super chats tonight. Baz Dark Horse says no evidence, case dismiss. I feel like this case is going to fall apart. I just can't see how it's going to hold up in court. But
it's going to go all the way. It's going to go through every single court.
Probably. Yep.
Most likely.
I hope he gets out on bail tomorrow. Imagine he doesn't get out on bail. Anthony Madison says he should transition. Yeah, he'll probably get off. They'll probably give him another award. Thank you for the super chat. Arma DV. How am I meant to read that? DV.
Amora Divpa.
Okay. Lucky that you can't read it either.
Amora.
Thanks for the super chat. We are
Armored Viper. We're both a bit retarded. It's just
Armored Viper.
We both have a few issues.
Guys, can you write out your names at the beginning of the comment? Thank you for the super chat. We are reading reports from who was at the time the enemy in capitals. No footage of the act, and we are going on hearsay. Why is this a civil trial for a war crime charge? Shouldn't it be going to the Hague, not New South Wales court? So it's not civil court. This is a criminal case.
Prosecution,
But but I get what you're trying to say. It should be the Hague. I think the Hague is for like leaders rather than individual.
Don't give them ideas.
And don't give them ideas. You're right.
They'll definitely say after they try him, they'll send him off to the Hague as well for more humiliation. This is
But I agree with you. Why are they trusting the enemy? Because it's very likely, especially like you've got to understand in these kinds of places. Like if you look at Lebanon right now, South Lebanon, where Israel's forcing them to move beyond the Litani, what are they calling them?
Buffer zone.
Yeah, but what's it called? Forced
relocation.
Things is that they've got to leave that area because what you find is in those Shia villages, they are either Hezbollah themselves or they are in some way helping their war effort. So they store the rockets or the weapons at their house. They have the tunnel entrance from their house. They're in some way they're providing support for them. No one's staying around those villages, especially when Hezbollah starts firing and Israel starts firing back, unless they're a part of it. And that's what you would have found in a lot of these Afghani villages where there were Taliban. It's very tribal. It's JFW Jacko says federal gov and Labor in general is communist. Take that as a comment, and I agree with you. But even the commies wouldn't treat their own diggers like that. That's the thing. The commies won't treat their soldiers like this.
No chance.
Charlie says war hero and VC winner escorted off a plane by 5 AFP in full tactical gear. Yeah,
he's been given that Victoria Cross for running into pretty much the line of fire to save people, to save his fellow brothers in arms. Right, that's why he's got that VC. Multiple times he's done that. That's why he's been given that highest honor.
Yep.
I mean, so yeah, it is a jarring image to see someone like that. To think that they would then treat that individual in that way. And I think a lot of Australians will look at it like that, even like you brought up earlier, Avi, Pauline Hanson's statement, like we're seeing right now in the country, a lot of people support the sentiments of Pauline Hanson.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a wide mix of the population who are insulted by the scenes that they've seen and who don't view this this social justice type project of the military at the moment and the media to right the wrongs of the past through what Ben Robert Smith and the charges against him. They don't see that as something that's in the interest of Australia for whatever reason, whether it's financial because it's going to cost a lot of money, but even the fact that it demoralizes the nation. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, angst about this in the community. I don't think this is one of these things where we're going to have people just on board with the same opinion. You can already see it in the comments. A lot of people are pissed off, and the government, they're going to have to they're going to have to come through with this case, because if it's a flimsy case, there's going to be an investigation into why that actually happened in the first place. It's going to cost. There's going to be more inquiries around this. Is what I'm trying to say. This has to be open and shut by them, because if there's any kind of if this drags on for years and years and it looks like incompetence was involved, people aren't going to easily forget what took place here.
Super Shozin says, by these leftist standards, we wouldn't have won World War II. Yep. Well, no, even worse. The diggers would have been dragged through court for killing Nazis. Hanwan Enja, or is that Haninja? Is that what that's meant to be? So, thank you for the super chat. Says, 2 of my children were at ninja. Okay, that's like Israel. It's Hebrew for the ninja, I would say. 2 of my children were at Bondi Beach that day. One of them was stuck there at work throughout the ordeal. We don't need to tolerate this. I agree. Glad to hear, though, the kids are all right. Spetsy says, even if the allegations are true, it's nothing compared to what UNRWA and the UN peacekeepers have done. We have more respect for ISIS brides and war heroes. We're speed running into being like the UK.
Sadly, I gotta agree with that.
You are totally right. Charlie says, oh no, that one I've already done. Sorry. Super Shozen says, Trump pardoned Chief Gallagher, who was accused by toxic, jealous fellow SEALs, with some MP hunting for trophy arrests. So sad, nothing to do with justice. Ben is attacked by these fake activist journos. Do you know the story they're talking about, Chief Gallagher?
I think there has been someone that's been pardoned. And that's the thing as well. If you just look at even just based on Trump's actions over the last couple of days, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get just one soldier out.
Yeah.
At the same time, everyone's accusing the entire...
And we're spending hundreds of millions to lock one up.
Yeah. I mean, that is the contrast, right?
That's a contrast.
I don't know if we have a system in Australia where... I don't think so, where the Prime Minister could pardon someone like this, but the American system is very different. You feel like war heroes in America are way more protected.
Yeah,
because they can become the targets of envy
more respected
and the tall poppy syndrome. Definitely,
and I think that definitely from talking to soldiers who served with him, they told me there's probably a bit of that happening. Charlie1224 says, remember when ABC stitched up Heston Russell? Yes, and I think Sam referred to that in... Oh, no, not in that video. But they added gunshots to make Heston Russell seem like a war criminal. It'll be interesting to see if they try now going after Heston Russell. Heston Russell, unlike Ben Robert Smith, actually won his defamation case because they just added those gunshots. But I wouldn't put anything past even the ABC trying to push something so that they can vindicate themselves on that as well. Julian Carter says, do you think Ben Robert Smith getting arrested has anything to do with the rise of Muslim population in Australia in the last 10 years? I think they definitely... I think it's shifted the political mood, the media. Like the media is also running on eyeballs or whatever. So I think that there is some truth to what's encouraging going after someone like Ben Roberts-Smith? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make that correlation directly, but there is a shift within the sentiment, at least within Labor itself, where they are kind of have these bigger bases of certain demographics building up, which they want to appease. Now, do they need to do this to appease that population? I don't necessarily think so. It's not really something that was on the forefront of people's minds. Does it make Australia feel like, we are going to be the ultimate judge of what we did during that time and absolve ourselves of whatever people accuse us of, as these populations often do? They will often, I've seen at those protests, Avi, they will bring up the fact that Australians are war criminals as well. They say it in the same breath when they talk about anything to do with Palestine or Iran these days. They will accuse Australia of committing war crimes. The Greens do this all the time in Parliament House. They will not talk about a conflict overseas without alleging the involvement of Australia in war crimes. So it is a part of their political mantra for sure. Whether it's a deliberate thing, it's hard to say because there is a long history to all of this. I really honestly believe that after the media stirred this up, even the top, the woke brass that does exist within some of these organizations have just gone with it. And they're trying to see the eventual end of their $300 million spend that they've done. Once that media story broke, regardless of the evidence or whatever there was, and the fact that it was so publicized public, this just feels like the eventual conclusion to all of that, Avi, because this would have always been brought up, if you know what I mean. Like there had to be some sort of conclusion to this. Either the AFD and the authorities had to come out and say there's nothing to show here. There's no reason to go after these guys, or we have to go after them.
There's the cases.
And I think for them, the harder conversation for them to have is if they came out and just said, we're going to forget all this. We've looked at all this. There's nothing there that we can really prosecute on. We've got to move on now as a country. I think that's harder for them to do and defend people like Ben Roberts-Smith and what happened in Afghanistan. Whereas today, it's easier for them to just say, this guy's guilty. We're going to go after him. Like that's easier.
I see all the lefties in the comments sharing a screenshot from ABC saying 21 SAS soldiers to testify against Ben Roberts-Smith in defamation trial. I want to see when all this happens. Let's see what the testimony they're giving is.
Yeah.
Because
some of those soldiers in that one, the defamation trial, they were talking about the culture of Ben Roberts-Smith and the army and what they witnessed him and the way that he was brash about the things and the things that he said and done. This is totally different. I wouldn't. Yeah, like you said, I want to see what they have to say.
Exactly. It's because at this stage for ABC to even know that, because there would be nothing in the court records yet. And I doubt any. How would they know? So it's just like they're trying to pump up the narrative that he's guilty. That's it. That's why they're like, how would they have got that tip? Through the police source that would have said, we've got 21. We've got from so the police is trying to pump up the public for to support, because they want people to believe that they're guilty even if the charges fall and that it wasn't their fault. They tried to go after a war hero. That's what obviously the police and the state want. So they need the media, and the media also want to be vindicated in the fact that they go after our heroes.
Yeah. And the police aren't backing down.
Talk to me when there's 21 people that actually testify against him and properly against him. Not like when you say that they've got somebody, they list 21 people to testify to make their case against him. It doesn't mean 21 people are testifying against him. But we'll see how that all happens. This will be a very public case. Noah Bennett says, off-topic question, but thoughts on Albanese saying that the fuel crisis will not be like COVID-19 at all? You think he's bluffing or not? No, I don't think he's bluffing at it not being like COVID-19 at all. I think that any measures that they take, and for now we look all right. It looks like Japan has stepped in for a bit, so it looks like we're all right for another month and a half. But when the time comes that we're really running out of fuel or whatever, I think it's going to be like fuel rations. We didn't have fuel rations in COVID.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if you call that similar. I would say it's similar. There's going to be correlations in the fact that there's going to be restrictions. I think that the things that will be similar that he's definitely lying about is that they'll go to shutting down at least state schools, but they might make restrictions around all schools just to encourage people to stay home. They will present it as, because it's the easiest thing for them to do, they'll present it as basically trying to give parents the opportunity not to drive, and they'll say that people that can work from home will have to be allowed to work from home. They'll do those kind of things. So it'll be similar to COVID in a way. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think we touched on this last week.
Yeah, I mean, if it does come to that, I agree with pretty much what you said. I think the biggest takeaway is that obviously COVID-19 is a health-related response, and the biggest thing that they were saying is that people spread it, right? That was the whole whole thing, right? So we couldn't interact with people. This is slightly different. We can still interact with people. If it does come to that, it'll be other measures, like you said, Avi. So I think that's what he means. That I also think he's being genuine in the sense that no government really wants to have the financial burdens that they got through COVID-19 because it impacts their overall budget and their ability to do things. So obviously you'd want to hope that the Labor government learned lessons from what happened during that time.
But I mean, it will be like COVID in the fact that he will take up any opportunity. So when any situation presents itself, and
easy road.
If he feels like he has to do something, he'll also push things in he wants to get through. LFTW, what does that actually stand for? Probably something that I should get that's easy, but I didn't get it. I can't believe David Hicks, a bloody guilty as charged terrorist, is walking free, and our most decorated soldier, Ben Robert Smith, is in jail for going through hell and making it back alive. That cuts through it all. For me, that's so true and so sad. Tonight, he's in jail. While terrorists like ISIS brides are walking free in our country. Just let that thought sink in. Another comment. Thank you for another super chat. In a war with ever-changing rules and no end in sight, there are no limits. Someone once said WikiLeaks published evidence of US war crimes. Whatever happened with all that? I think they published, I can't really remember. It was a long time ago. What was it? Snowden or whatever?
Yes. Look, there's lots of internal investigations. Obviously, we had Abu Ghraib, where, like, yes, in that instance, there was very horrific images that came out of what they were doing to prisoners and things like this. So again, like, I'm not trying to absolve all militaries of what their commitment must be. And we have to understand, Avi, that as the West, yes, we are different. And we have to be different to the terrorists. I completely agree. We have to have certain standards. Our military should have standards. It's not a license to go there and kill people, especially the people that you're trying to help. That's all fair. I think we have to accept that being the standard default case. But we also have to ensure that we protect those that go serve and that we don't unnecessarily put them in harm's way with these type of political witch hunts, which this looks like based on what we've seen earlier. Again, obviously something could come out in the next couple of days. They could have evidence that we haven't seen any of this yet.
Sure.
Right? So I'm happy to be proven wrong when
I'm not happy to be proven wrong.
No, happy to be proven wrong in the sense that I don't mind if people look at this and be like, oh,
you know what? No matter what, it's
not about that.
It sickens me how much of the country is willing and rooting for our most decorated soldier to be jailed, even based on what we've seen so far with everything between the media, between the defamation case, that people are cheering on this guy that risked his life to fight for us, because on a war that he was sent by our government, and that so many are willing to and laughing and enjoying. Here, there's
it's the same mentality of the people that were laughing and cheering on for the US soldier that was shot down in Iran to be captured.
Yep, it is.
We have to accept that we live amongst these people that are.
Hey, did you see that Ben Robert Smith just got arrested for war crimes? Damn! I wasn't expecting that. I thought that was off the table and he got off scot-free. I forgot about that guy, but no, he's back with a vengeance. And it seems about a quarter of Australia is really upset about the fact that he might be facing justice for potentially, and again, this is, legal circumspect here, obviously, but maybe, just maybe, might be a kid killer. It is so weird that these people lionise Desi Freeman and Ben Robert Smith. Are you sure you're not mistaking him with Ben Cousins? Like, that guy, maybe I'll give it that. That kind of plays into the whole, we love a good crim, we love a good Drago. But, like, can we just admit that Ben Robert Smith might not need to have the same elevation into folklore as Ned Kelly? I mean, he wasn't doing it in the damn bushranger night hat, was he? With his bloody sniper scope. Coward.
What a absolute piece of shit Friendly Geordies is. And this guy never has served a day in his life anywhere. He's a total coward. And to be able to stand there like that with your smug little smile, mocking somebody that has... And even if those, whatever charges he's found guilty on, he has still received the top honours for bravery, shit that this guy wouldn't do in 100 years because he's a smug... Oh.
Yeah.
I have to stop myself because I'm gonna get us banned off every
You
platform.
see the snickering, the sneering, the laughter. This is like, I think this is a great description of what's wrong with many things in this country, because there's people definitely cheering on the demise of Australia, and they see this what's happening with Ben Robert Smith as another a notch in that goal that they have, and that's why they're so happy.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the trending top posts on this, because it's trending around the world. Serve a country to fight jihadists, import jihadi sympathisers to your own home country, get put on trial for jihadists. Australia is effed.
Yeah. Actually, if you bring up Tony Abbott's tweet, I think we should read that because he was actually involved, I guess, in some of the deployments.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Tony Abbott. And then we'll go to the just quick last story before we knock off. Tony Abbott. Oh my God. Bloody radio keeps just going on. I don't know how. Hey Siri. Turn radio off. I don't understand. They can't... Apple's... I think I'm going to have to throw this bloody thing off. Apple can't help me. This radio just goes on at any time by itself. All right, here's Tony Abbott 6 hours ago. Tony says, especially today, my instinctive sympathy remains with all of our Special Forces soldiers from the Afghanistan campaign fighting at our country's command against a merciless enemy, often under highly restrictive rules of engagement that meant known terrorists were captured and released many times. As Prime Minister during multiple deployments and having spent time with our troops in war zones, I could have not asked for a more loyal and professional military, and my respect for their service is undiminished. Of course, there are rules that have to be observed and enforced, even against soldiers in times of war. Still, it's wrong to judge the actions of men in mortal combat by the standards of ordinary civilian life. Perfectly put. If Ben Robert Smith transgressed, why wasn't this picked up prior to his gallantry awards, and why wasn't any culture of brutality towards prisoners detected by his more senior officers and dealt with quickly rather than being allowed to fester, as has been alleged for over a decade? And that is such a good point, because these people are saying that there's 21... Again, I don't believe that, but... Where were all these people? If they all really saw a war crime by Ben Robert Smith, why for 20 years have they been silent? The Bamford investigation commenced in 2016 and only concluded in 2020. The first war crime charge against a former Special Forces soldier was only laid in 2023, and 3 years later. this has still not been finalised. After doing their best to serve our country, dozens of former Special Forces soldiers should not still be in limbo years later because of ongoing investigations that have only resulted in charges in 2 cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. If evidence is clear and cases are strong, they should be brought and concluded without delay. Otherwise, people should be cleared to get on with their lives, lest the process itself becomes the punishment. In Afghanistan, our soldiers fought bravely and well for a just cause. I am very sorry that some of them have been subjected to a form of persecution by the country they served. Honestly, well said.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reflection on the leaders as well. Obviously, they bear the ultimate responsibility of sending the troops over to these conflicts. But yeah, it's kind of what you want to see anyway, isn't it, Avi? Someone who is responsible for doing that, being able to back the troops afterwards, because it's so easy for these political leaders today to walk away from all of that.
Yeah.
You got to back in those troops, because when you send these young kids over there,
Angus Taylor, read that. That's how you respond to something like this, not the cowardice you showed today on TV. Fantastic Mr. Knox says, if Ben Robert Smith is found innocent, he should leave Australia, and as his country under lefty leadership has forsaken him, it's an embarrassment. I wouldn't blame him if he did. Okay, last but not least, let's move just to the other story making headlines, and we need to watch this space. I just want to make sure that there's not an updated version of it before we... Give me 2 seconds, because I had one prepped ready to go, so I just want to make sure it's the latest we've got on it. Give me 2 secs. Is that your dog?
Yeah.
Okay, there actually is. There was actually an updated version 6 minutes ago, so okay, I checked. Let's pull this up.
The clock is ticking. This strike in Iran, just kilometres away from the country's only nuclear power plant. And the US president is warning the next strikes could hit the facility itself.
Very little is off limits. We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again.
As diplomacy stalls, US and Israeli strikes have intensified once more, and Donald Trump is reiterating his Tuesday deadline for a deal.
The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
The commander-in-chief seemingly unmoved by the risks to civilians.
Mr. President, how would it not be a war crime to strike Iran's bridges in power?
Because they killed 45,000 people, they killed protesters, they're animals.
The rude rhetoric, arrogance and baseless threats of the delusional US president will have no effect on the continuation of offensive and crushing operations by the fighters of Islam.
A defiant regime is staring down the threats from the White House, instead calling on its youth to surround the potential targets. Gather to tell the world that attacking public infrastructure is a war crime, while countering with its own plans for peace.
A ceasefire means a brief respite, allowing the other side to strengthen its forces and commit more crimes afterward. No reasonable person would do that. Our demand is to end this imposed war.
A war the US and Israel have been waging on their own, prompting this swipe from the president.
And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us.
What help has Australia failed to provide as you understand it?
Well, that's not a question for me. We want to see a de-escalation.
Calls that have fallen on deaf ears in this 6th week of war.
Let's go straight to Matthew Doran now in Jerusalem, where less than 20...
My old mate Matthew Doran.
54 hours from Donald Trump's latest deadline, are there any chances of diplomacy reaching a breakthrough?
Lydia, good evening. There is clearly going to be a lot of wrangling happening behind the scenes from some of the regional players here, particularly Pakistan, keen to avoid a further escalation. But you'd have to say some of the Iranian counter-demands, wanting things such as reparations for the damage inflicted on the country during this war, are things that Donald Trump would never agree to. There are also fresh questions as to exactly who Iran is putting up to the negotiating table, with a report in the British newspaper The Times citing intelligence officials to say that the new Supreme Leader, Moshtaba Khamenei, is not only in hospital, but he is unconscious with serious injuries. Preparations are being made right across the region should this escalation occur. The only bridge, for example, between Bahrain and Saudi Arabia has been shut down indefinitely, just in case Iran decides to attack it. That Trump deadline, 8 p.m. Tuesday night Washington time, that is 3 a.m. here in Israel on Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock on Australia's East Coast.
Oh, so that's coming up in just a couple of hours. In an hour. 10 o'clock. Oh, no, 10 o'clock a.m. it would be. If it's, yeah. Is that right?
I think it depends on what the time format is, EST.
He said
Is it EST?
8 o'clock Eastern Standard. Yeah, Eastern Standard. Yeah, it must be in the morning. Yeah. Oh, no, wait. He said, did he say 8 a.m.? 8 a.m.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's in 50 minutes, the deadline. Look, I saw someone in the comments say, don't take Trump literally, take him seriously. That's actually a really good quote. I missed whoever said that. That was actually a good quote. Look, we've hashed this out before. I think Australia's position on this has been embarrassing. They're joining the coalition of losers, Keir Starmer, Mark Carney. The fact that America feels like we've betrayed them on this is going to be a costly thing.
Yeah, I think people are misreading it as well. It's not necessarily commitment of troops or something like this. It's not what Donald Trump is talking about.
Even moral, he would have taken.
I think he's talking about moral. He's talking about moral support on a basis where it's not predicated by, because Albanese supports it and he's like, but I don't know if you've noticed our leaders when they speak, they'll kind of show a little bit of support for, they'll be like, oh, Iran's regime is really bad, the way they treat their people is bad, but there's always a but, and I think what Trump is expecting from the West is that. And he makes this point all the time. You need the Strait of Hormuz. You get your oil from there. It's affecting you guys more than it's affecting us, for instance.
Yeah.
Be a part of the Western world and enforce international law as it pertains to maritime law, at least, access to the waters, free transport, like without being hindered by rockets. You have to understand, Iran is attacking its neighbors who have nothing to do with any of this, really. And they're attacking civilian infrastructure in the region. They're not attacking the US per se. They're attacking whatever they can in the region. So where is the moral armies of the West to stand up for this and be like, this is not on? And if you continue this, we're going to join in with the US at least to protect our interests in that area in a meaningful way, right? Not just with words. And I think that's what he's talking about, because it does feel like a lot of these countries have chickened out. And that's emboldened Iran, because the propaganda coming out of Iran right now, it is tailored towards a Western audience to demoralize the West.
Did you see
like they're talking about Epstein files. They're talking about this and that.
Every argument,
pedophiles.
Every argument is
literally Tucker Carlson.
Every argument is about Epstein files, and there's the video that I put tomorrow is actually like an Iranian on the streets here who had a debate, I guess, street debate with Nick Patterson. And it's funny, like he talks about the Epstein files. It's like, dude. And he likes Khomeini, and I'm like, you realize the only reason why Khomeini's not on the Epstein files is because he didn't need to go to Epstein Island, because all he did was change the law in Iran to make it legal to marry 9-year-old girls. They didn't need Epstein Island. They just legalized pedophilia. It's insane. Look, the next this deadline is in 45 minutes. What does it mean Trump is going to do? I have no idea. This has become the hardest thing to read Trump.
Look,
I feel like if I have to guess, But it looks like Iran is not capitulating, but they also talk so much shit, so I don't know what's true. Like my rational brain says that they're going to agree to something, because otherwise, are they calling Trump's bluff? And then is it a bluff? I wouldn't put it past. Trump has shown that when he makes like big threats like this with a deadline, it almost always means something big, and this is a massive escalation. And I think Israel is like, let's take this opportunity while we have it. That's Israel's perspective on it.
What are the Iranians saying right now? What do we hear in that report? We heard the Iranians say.
The Iranians are saying that
telling their general public, telling children and civilians to go to these areas to get bombed. Like, they are literally talking about a war crime themselves by making human shields.
But they're appealing also to the Western supporters, saying, "Say it's a war crime. Say it's a war crime."
But it's all delusional at the end of the day, because they're talking about themselves winning, and winning for them looks like sending their civilians to get bombed by the US. Like, that is winning to them. So obviously, America does hold many of the cards. If it wasn't for the Straits of Hormuz and the drone damage,
no one would even care.
No one would even care about what's going on right now. America holds all the cards, but it's possible that Trump could extend these deadlines. Like, I feel like he's someone who's been willing to negotiate. And
well, that's he wants the deal. He wants the deal.
He wants the deal, but he's shown over the last couple of weeks, especially the last couple of days, that they will bomb infrastructure. He will, just today, they bombed.
Israel's already started,
Israel's already started. So they will bomb these places. I think Trump is not going to fall for this international law nonsense that people are talking about when it relates to this infrastructure. As he said very plainly, they've killed their own people, their animals.
I feel like this is potentially going to be like something massive, because if
could
they're
go
going
either way.
If they're doing, that's right. He could pull back and say, he could totally pull back and just claim a win, but it's unlikely for it to be that, especially because of the rhetoric coming out of Iran. So I just don't believe. I don't believe Trump's gonna do that. This bloody music has gone on again. I'm telling you, it is.
Trump is not going to walk away from this in this situation, in a position where he comes off looking weak. He's going to put them to the sword in the sense of holding the regime's feet to the fire. And we have to also understand that most of the regime, as it were, prior to this war beginning, has been eliminated. They're dead. Leaders of the regime keep getting eliminated. You have that one guy hiding in a bunker somewhere, putting out statements. If he wasn't hiding out in some bunker doing that, or if he's not AI, whatever it is, he would be eliminated as well. This is a weak force militarily, but they are having propaganda wins, thanks to, in large part, Avi, to idiots in the West that buy into it. They are buying into this propaganda and rooting against their own nation because of this propaganda, because that's all they have left. They have nothing else left besides trying to get some sort of settlement by winning through propaganda. And it's sad to see that people in the West are so easily fooled by this nonsense from these terrorist regimes, when at the same time you have Iranians pleading with the West to continue these actions, to continue these bombings, and to make a scenario or a situation for them where they can have true change in their country.
Christy says it's 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
That depends. Did they say let's look up the deadline. Is it 8 a.m. or 8 p.m.?
It's 8 a.m. I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What time?
It's a morning press conference.
Trump's deadline for Iran. Oh no, they're right. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, so it's 10 a.m. Australian Time. All right. Thanks for that correction. My bad. But thank you for the super chat as well. I guess I can make mistakes to get fact checked live on air. So which makes me feel slightly better because maybe we'll do an emergency live tomorrow when it all happens, if there's something. Thanks for that. All right, let's read these last super chats and head out. Thank you everyone for super chats tonight. It's reticent. Read it.
Let me read it. It's reticent, yeah.
Thank you for the super chat. It says, it is my first time seeing a first world country convicting a war hero with war crimes. Reality is stranger than fiction. I'm not sure if it's the first time. I don't know actually the history in Australia, but it's definitely it's definitely the first time our most decorated war hero. And by the way, just to be clear, no one is disputing his bravery and his actions that won those awards, the highest honors. No one's disputing that. These are just allegations. Fantastic. Mr. Knox says media and idiots want to call Trump attacking power plants a war crime. Ukraine did this and they were all silent. It's only a war crime if Trump does it. That is actually interesting. That's actually
it's not a war crime. It's not a war crime. It's not a war crime. Whatever the people are saying, it's not a war crime.
That's actually a really good point. Thank you for that one, and thank you for the super chat and all your super chat. You've done a few tonight. David Cardella said, just a super chat. Thank you for the support.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Anthony Cos875 says, do you think Trump is actually serious about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? If so, do you think it'll actually happen? No and no. I don't think. Why would Trump want that many Democrats added to the
that's the truth of it.
Electoral.
Really.
No, but
he wouldn't mind the resources. That's for sure. But
no, but I think that's the resource-rich state is Alberta, isn't it? And Alberta is currently having. Well, they're thinking of separating from Canada. I think they want to go independent, but
yeah,
they're. Watch your space. Trump might take it. Well, guys, on that note, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It was great to be back.
Yeah, for sure.
We plan to do every Tuesday night and when urgent things come up, breaking news. So make sure, whatever platform, especially if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell to ensure that you get notifications when we come back on. But if you want to find me across my socials, follow avi.com. You can find everything there. And before Rukshan grifts, let's do fantastic. Mr. Knox says, it's the same idiots who accuse Trump of breaking international law. International law bounces off Trump. That sounds like one of those jokes of Walker, Texas Ranger, who, by the way, recently died, which was sad news.
It's very sad.
I used to love watching.
Childhood. Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, yeah. Go on, Rukshan.
Guys, you can follow me at The Real Rukshan on all the usual social platforms, or go to deportavi.com. It will take you to my biggest platform at the moment, which is actually Facebook. So deportavi.com. Thanks, guys.
I love that. That is your site for people to find.
I got to set it up with all my different social links and make it my bio page. But yeah, definitely. It's been a good show, Avi.
It was
good show. Obviously a tough topic, but I think one that is going to be discussed at length over the coming months and years in Australia, and it'll be interesting to see how it progresses.
For now, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.